There we go. Hello, everyone. Let me just quickly check if this is live because this is how it is. I believe this is, yeah. Nice to see you, everyone. Welcome to episode number 5 of my video podcast, The Ark. I got some feedback that my intros are a little bit too long, so I'm just gonna say that today I'm very pleased to have with me a person who I always wanted to talk to since we started interacting with each other quite some months ago. That one is Stoops. And also, you guys already know Lino, a grandmaster in his own Mokoko world. And also in reality. So I'm gonna let them introduce themselves. By the way, so Stoops can go first.
Yeah, my name is Stoops. I'm a baby Makoko in Lost Ark. I'm coming from World of Warcraft, and I used to be a giant PvP nerd, and now I'm turning into a giant PvE nerd. So I always wanted to join this podcast. I watched it a lot, and I was super. Saivo's videos are actually kind of what got me into the game at the time. So it's cool to be talking to him and all of you guys as well, and Lino, because his guides on PvP were also great in getting me in the game.
Yeah, we're doing a very good segue there to my introduction, which is I'm Lino. I do kind of like PvP guides and stuff, and I do some YouTube videos, a little bit of streaming. I'm not quite Grandmaster yet, only Master Saivo, but who knows, we'll get there eventually. And real life Mokoko person, and just love the game, really. And it's a pleasure to be here. Thanks so much for inviting us.
There you go. So your feedback that the guests should introduce themselves has been put in practice. I quite like it when I introduce them. Not to say anything about my guests, of course. Speaking about Stoops, I was always very curious. Now I also found out that some of my videos were part of why he came to Lost Ark. So I'm curious about that also. But speaking about him being a hardcore PvP player, because some of you that are my fans were telling me that, hey, get to talk to this guy, get to know him a little bit better, maybe get him on your podcast. So, and I was asking me who is he at the beginning, right? And then you guys were telling me that he's like a hardcore. He is like a hardcore PvP player in World of Warcraft. And then I started to look at Stoops' videos and streams, and all he was doing was Legion raids. And I was like, okay, how
you're like
does
somebody in my chat, man. That's what they always do. They're like, "What are you gonna PvP?" Like, you're like the
yes,
same thing.
this to me was like baffling, right? Because PvP in Lost Ark is so nice and so easy to get into, especially for a player from another MMO comes to Lost Ark, gets to 26 and starts doing PvP, right? Learning these kinds of things and practicing. Everything is equalized. You don't need to farm at all. But he comes from WoW PvP and starts PvEing in Lost Ark. So Stoops, can you tell me like what happened there?
Yeah, it's a little story. Can I give the story? Is that
okay?
Okay?
Let's do it because I'm really curious. I'm genuinely curious. Why the hell would you come to Lost Ark to PvE? I get it. It's amazing, but like,
Yeah, so I was in I think I played Lost Ark a really long time ago in 2018. I got like an account from somebody, like some Korean account. I think it was like tied to their number. I don't know what it was. And I like leveled to 30, but I couldn't read anything. But I really wanted to play the game because I was watching all these trailers. So I got to level 30 and then I like just stopped playing because it was just too hard. I didn't know what the stats meant. It was a little frustrating. And then like fast forward a couple years later, I think I was playing TBC had released, which is the Burning Crusade for WoW, and I hated it. I was in a raid actually. And then I think I saw one of your videos because you were talking about like the game coming. I didn't know the game was coming to the West. I remember like wanting it to. And I watched one of your videos and found out it was. And then I think you had a video about getting on the Russian client. So I got on the Russian client. And when I first started playing, I always wanted solo queue in WoW because we don't have solo queue in World of Warcraft for PvP. And it sucks. You're just sitting around looking for teammates. Everyone's playing the same comp. And like you're just not playing, And I found out this game had solo queue. So I told my friend Motivate, who's in chat right now, and I asked him, let's PvP, like let's do some arena. And my other friend who plays WoW and Bonnie, let's do some arena. And the first day we got into arena, I was like, oh, I'm gonna be so good at this game. All I do is PvP. And I just got wrecked. I got absolutely destroyed. Like I couldn't move my character. It was so frustrating. We were saying we were getting rubber banded. We were like making all these excuses.
What class were you on?
the first class I played was a blade, and I thought my class was bad. So I was complaining my class is bad. I was like, oh, this class is horrible. I'm not doing any damage. And then I think we did like the LTS, the 1v1 mode. And then we fought another blade who 1v3'd all of us and just absolutely destroyed us. And then my friend's like making fun of me. Oh yeah, your class is bad, huh? I'm like, okay. So anyway, you know, I kept PvPing, and we did that for about a month straight. That's all I did. You know, I didn't do it on stream or make any videos of it. This is around the time when the New World beta was coming out, and I had pre-ordered New World beta because I knew at that point I was going to start making videos on other games because I was so unhappy playing WoW. And so I'll get into New World. And at that time, as right before the beta for the original closed beta, not the open beta, the closed beta for New World was coming out. I was playing Lost Ark, doing arena, and I started leveling with my friends. And I refunded New World. I was like, I'm not gonna play this shit. Like I'm gonna play. I'm sorry if I can say that, but
yeah, no, it's all good. We can.
I'll try not to. I know for the algorithm, but
get high. It's fine.
Yeah. So I refunded New World, and then I kept doing arena for about a month straight. We'd play like all the time for a couple hours a day. I tried Holy Knight, Blade, whatever. And then one day I decided to, I was like, on stream, I started streaming PvP, a little bit of Lost Ark, just a little bit. This is like a while ago. And then I decided to do like a little bit of, you know, a chaos dungeon. And then I just kept wanting to see like what was ahead, you know? And then I think Saint came in my chat one day, and he was trying to tell me how engraving stones work, ability stones work. I think that's what they're called on NA. And I was so confused. And then that got me interested, and I kept going to the next zone. And then I did Phantom's Palace of Dreams, which is the dungeon that we had on the end of closed beta. And I was like, this is the craziest dungeon I've ever seen. And I hate PvE. I genuinely just don't enjoy it. I don't like doing raids. I raided in WoW. I did mythic raiding. It's so boring. For me, it is. Yeah. Not for everybody.
Yeah.
But then there was something about that dungeon I thought was so cool. And it was just like really fun, like dying on the boss for hours and hours. I went in completely blind with everybody, and we're figuring out these mechanics. And I just got really hooked going into these dungeons and raids blind and trying to figure them out on my own. Like it was just such a fun thing, like not watching guides, not trying to, you know, going in there with knowing nothing and seeing if I could figure it out.
Who's gonna stand with you there until you
I get people, man.
Stuff?
We're there for 9 hours or something, man. 10 hours sometimes, you know?
So they're you're playing with 3 other friends.
Yeah, or friends, people from my chat who haven't played before. Some of them have played. So, but now it's progressing to the point where there's people that are like too scared to do, you know, certain raids. And every time I got to a raid, like it was Argos at first, and I was there for, you know, 7-8 hours, 9, you know, whatever. Sometimes for phase 1, right. And then I kept doing. Okay, well, I want to see what Bolton is like, and then I'm there for 10 hours, and it just got really fun because there's people that never done it before, and there's nothing. I think Lost Ark PvP is so fun, and a lot of people will really enjoy it.
But did you learn it?
Yeah, I understand how staggers work. I understand the basics of the game. I'm not like insane. I'm not like Lino or anything like that, where I've played a lot. But I played a good bit. I understand generally how the game works. The only thing I have
still
to learn,
like PvE more.
I don't like climbing on an RU ladder. I don't get that sense of like I want to push on this ladder. You know what I mean? And then screaming normals all day, I just don't feel like it. I have more fun progressing my PvE character. You know what I mean? Doing it for practice is great. And I've played with Nico a bit and like learned from him a little bit. I've talked to Laffy. She's taught me some stuff. So I'm still, especially on NA release, I definitely will, because tier 1 will be a bit more slow. But there's just something about the raids, man. Like they are genuinely really fun if you're going in there and trying to figure it out on your own. And I've really enjoyed it. I'm addicted to it.
No, that's actually a very interesting story. Generally, of course, everyone that comes in blind and doesn't watch maybe any of Lino's videos or any of other PvP videos, how to get into PvP, how it works. I guess everyone has the exact same experience. I also had it in 2018 when I was always on the floor, ending up finishing arenas with basically 20% of the damage compared to all of my other teammates and everyone against me. So everyone kind of has, let's say, the same experience when they go in blind. I'm not sure. What's your experience, Lino? Did you also have, or did you just start Lost Ark for the PvP or master rank from the get-go?
Of course. Nah. It's funny that, you know, Stoops actually came in for the PvP and then became a PvE player, because it's the completely other way around for me. I came in looking for like a PvE game. So when Lost Ark kind of came out in Russia, I was still playing like a lot of Battle Royale and some other games. I was interested in some other games, just like PvP fighting games in general, and that was buying my PvP fix. So I came to Lost Ark thinking, you know what, I want a PvE game. I'm not really that interested in MMOs anymore. Like most other MMOs, I played Final Fantasy 14 for a while, and you had that whole blind raid progression, that sense of getting things done and progressing. But at the same time, you have to get at least 8 people. Everybody has to be gathered up and have to do those big
Yeah.
raids. And I was saying, you know what, I just like you were talking about solo queue in PvP, I want to solo queue in PvE. I wanted like an ability. Can I just go in and do my own shit? Apologies. And so I came in and I had my first experience just like leveling the game. And just the leveling experience was really nice. I saw that the game was very polished during that first leveling experience. I remember doing the first dungeon in alpha time. That was the dungeon that kind of sold me the game, where you ride a mech and you start shooting things, and you have like this tower defense, and you ride hoverboards and stuff, and it was all pretty interesting. So it's kind of already finding the dungeons pretty cool, and the combat system was very interesting. And then we started doing the very very early, if you could even call them raids, like the Guardian raids, which are just, it was Monster Hunter but in an MMO. That's what it was, and that's kind of how it felt like. I remember having to get Buden, who's actually there in chat there with his warlord, to carry me in Helgaia, because we tried doing it with randoms and they wouldn't be able to do the break bar. So I'd get him to go on and carry me. And like the PvE in this game was so fun. I really liked the PvE. But I decided to try and give the PvP a go, which wasn't something that I'd have done because I'm usually not too into team PvP. The only team PvP game that I really played was Battle Royale. And I was like, let's give this a go. I do like PvP, and like I like PvP in MMOs, period. So like all the Korean MMOs, right? DFO, BDO, BNS, Ragnarok Online, all the Korean MMOs, I play PvE and PvP. So I was thinking I might as well do some PvP and Lost Ark as well. And then from then on, I got hooked. I was like, wait, this is actually really good. This is really entertaining. I love this. It has a really engaging system. And of course, it has that real confusing CC fest that you see in every single KMMO. But I kind of like that kind of stuff. And coming in from Blade and Soul, where you'd have to hold tab for an escape, and here you have your role. MMOs that have a trinket like WoW, and that's what you have to manage, and trying to understand how to do your escapes and playing around multiple characters. And then from then on, I was like, this is it. This is the game for me. And I started doing less and less PvE. When they hit with the Season 2 patch in Russia, they kind of messed up some levels. So if you didn't meet certain item level thresholds, you got brought down. So I was like one item level away from one of the Yuan patches and one of the Yuan item gear level. And then they just brought me back like a month's worth of work.
So two completely different stories. One coming from PvP to PvE and one the other way around. This is pretty interesting.
I want to add this one thing. I just want to add this. By the way, there's nothing. I think the PvP is fantastic, and I think ultimately it makes for an even better game. That if someone like me likes the PvE, because I never did it, and he came in for PvE and he likes the PvP, I think it makes for a more complete game that a lot of people will enjoy, and I think that's the strength of the game.
Yeah, I also think that. I believe that. I believe that I don't know. I guess if times would be better, maybe they would push the esports scene even a little bit more in terms of PvP. Which, by the way, would bring me into another topic that I wanted to talk about, and actually, maybe I can let Lino to make this announcement in case some of you didn't know. Actually, why am I still talking? You go, Lino, with the tournament.
Yeah, sure. So, spoiler alert for people who aren't aware. So the guys that ran the closed beta tournament, the Archives Arena tournament, they have plans to continuing these tournament series as we go into the actual release. So there's actually going to be in January. So this will likely be in the Russian client. There'll be some exhibition matches between some of the more well-known players. This is going to be like a casual 1v1, and we're going to have lots of giveaways for founders packs, platinum, gold, silver, etc. And that's just for people to get familiar with the PvP scene and see how classes work in 1v1. But as things actually start going forwards, the plan is that they're actually going to be running a PvP league. And while this is community run and driven by the players and by the community, it is something that the guys are taking very, very seriously.
So this is another tournament, by the way. We already had a kind of a community ran tournament, not necessarily by content creators, if that's what you think about, if that's what you understand by a community, but people from outside Lost Ark that are also fans of the game, want to do something nice. They had already a closed beta tournament that was running. I actually might be able to link in chat, or maybe Lino can link in chat the maybe the Twitch VOD for that one. That
Yeah.
was
Let me go find it.
a team deathmatch. So something was already done in the closed beta in terms of PvP competition with real money prizes, by the way. So for those of you who are new and are excited about the PvP system in Lost Ark and maybe want to get into Lost Ark because of it, I'm absolutely sure that you're going to have a blast and also potential to get some real money out of it or compete at a higher level, if that makes sense, eventually down the road. Because if there was one in beta and there is already one planned, by the way, 1v1 this time, for right after release, then that's absolutely awesome. I also might or might not have heard some rumors that Amazon themselves is planning to host, or to participate in hosting, not necessarily themselves keep it, but I don't know exactly the details, but there are some rumors that they are very interested in giving PvP a bit more of the pie, also in terms of in-game rewards or maybe cash shop currency extra on top of it, so that they can also participate in this tournament thing.
Nice. That's cool.
Someone was asking when is the release date for Lost Ark. 11th of February 2022. Let's just
January
get that out
3rd.
of the way.
It's January 3rd. Have you seen that?
January 3.
Oh
Yeah,
my God, these memes.
yeah,
3.
no.
It's been confirmed. 3.
3. No. So there was a rumor saying that it's gonna be January 11th. I'm not sure where you guys heard the 3rd, but 11th or 3. But that rumor has now changed after the beta feedback into a February 11th, which is a Friday. Obviously, this is all from my ass. So, believe it or not.
Okay, can we, since we're on it, what do you think is a good, because I remember watching your show, okay, and this is when you were Madge. You know what Madge means? It's like you were upset.
Okay.
Okay, and this was after they delayed it. And I remember watching, and you said releasing a game in January is like a bad idea. I think you said something like that. Okay, I could be paraphrasing. So, number one, why do you think that? If I can ask this, if you're okay with this. And then number two, when do you guys think is a good release date for Lost Ark? What's a date? If you could choose any day, honestly, what do you think is a good release date?
I actually believe that November is very nice because it's a joyful time. There's a lot of people. Well, it's not going to happen, but there's a lot of people, I believe, during the holiday season, that get more free time besides family. There's also free time that they can maybe join in. There's some lovely Christmas events, by the way, in Lost Ark, the lovely Christmas island that they can start with, some lovely cosmetics that they can start. So, for me, it kind of fits before Christmas. And why I thought January is a stupid date, which I still do, by the way. It's like New Year's Eve, right? And after New Year, okay, so this is my experience. That's why I think January is stupid.
Okay.
I'm very poor in January, and I have to work a lot to make up for all the shit that I spent during Christmas, for my family, for the presents, for the foods, whatever. We have big Christmas celebrations here. So January is a very gray month for me. Very just bad. I don't think about gaming that much in January. Plus, I have to go back to work. A new work year starts. We have a lot of stuff to do at work. Maybe it's just my experience. What do you think, Lino?
No, to be honest, you guys are right. Like in retail, usually the peak period is like November, December. I know that a lot of very big retail companies, they make like 80% of their revenue during this period. And then the new year comes and it becomes a little bit, it tends to slow down a lot as people already blew all their wages in Christmas and Black Friday and things like that. But actually ask the question, if the release date that I'd very much want, I'm with Cyril here. We can make it tomorrow. I think that'd be great. That'd be wonderful. I don't think that's very likely. If I'm going to pick a realistic date, I think it's probably going to be like in mid-February or late February, so that they have a little bit of time to get things in line and implement the feedback from the beta and get things sorted, but not so late that they're giving it like March 31st and really skirting the beginning of 2022. So they might do something like late February. And what I personally would like and what I think would be the best is, I know this is probably not going to happen, but it'd be after the PvP tournament that happens in Korea, and once they start bringing out balance changes. I want us to come out with the balance changes. I want to come out with a game that's going to be fresh. I don't want to be sitting in like a stale meta that we've already been playing for like 6 to 8 months. I want the game to come in and it's like, all right, we're up to date with Korea when it comes up to, at least to the client. We may not have, PvE raids and content and stuff like that, but at least the client, the balance changes, it's all there. So I want PvP tournament to happen. They push out the balance changes and we get that, and then I'm good. I'm happy. That's it.
Yeah, you know what? Someone was saying, by the way, welcome to those of you who just joined us. This is a podcast called The Ark, where we discuss all sorts of fantasy stories about Lost Ark, and also important topics, of course. So welcome, and I encourage you, by the way, to ask questions. Maybe not necessarily, how do I get my engravings? Because, we have each of us stream separately to answer these kinds of questions. But generally, to participate to the conversation, I would highly encourage you guys in chat. I can show them like this on the screen also, which for me is really, really important. Someone was asking, was saying that sad that we missed the Halloween. By the way, did you know that they were completely ready for Halloween with the cash shop? Because I got the opportunity to play on this PTR server when I was invited to the community stream. And they had like everything for Halloween was already there. So they really wanted to release before Halloween, like it was initially planned, and just had everything, the event and everything was there. So yeah. I wanted to ask Stoops, by the way, speaking about Endgame, because he's doing stuff, even stuff that I haven't done them on purpose. But he's just pushing onwards on the Russian server with this tier 3 thing. And I wanted to ask you, Stoops, what are you going to do in the West? Because, as you know, we have 8 raid bosses that you will most likely be able to get through them in 8 or
I mean, I was on Virtus for 4 hours on the on the beta, so I don't know. I was on a VM and I was getting wiped up for about 4 hours, to be honest, trying to solo him. But
I see. Okay,
I mean,
so there is some content.
Yeah, there's some content for sure. I mean, so selfishly, I just want to get to tier 3 as fast as possible. I think that, I was listening to you guys talk about the slowing it down, and I get it's not about what I want, but I do think that a lot of people will come into the game. And the unfortunate thing with Lost Ark, I think, not to be a Debbie Downer, but it is an unfortunate thing, is that the game has been out somewhere else. So they see these videos of Beatrice and Cuckoo Satan, and you see all this stuff, and you're like, oh, like this looks insane. However, I do know that the game does have a really good natural progression curve. So every time that you feel like you're getting better, the content gets harder and it kind of smacks you back down again. So I feel like for a new player, tier 1 will be fine. And the people that have played the game are a small portion of the players that will actually get into the game, right? At the end of the day, the people that are playing on RU and KR that are coming to NA, it's very small, like 2-3%, right? Of the amount of people that will really get into the game, the new people. So they're not going to really notice the difference. For me, I'll probably do a lot of PvP, work on my ults, not skip out on my skill points. Not like, because I have to go back and do all of that. I'm doing getting my island hearts just so I can get these skill points and things like that. All the stuff that I would have done in tier 1, I'll probably end up doing, and probably a lot of PvP, But I do think tier 1 and tier 2, yeah, for sure. Because what else am I going to do, But
I saw you doing island hearts. What the actual fuck? What
20
are you
of
doing?
them. 20 of them. I need to get 20. I need them. You need them, dude.
Of course,
I have 300 skill points or something. I was like 330, and now I'm at 358, 360. But
no, I like you. I like you. I'm going to say it as it is. I like you to come into the game 3 years later and to start, let's say, from scratch, and to, let's say, purposely not watch guides and to like wipe on, I don't know, on Argos out of all bosses. This is nice to start getting island hearts. I like to see this from. I like it. I like it. But sorry, to continue your topic, I'm gonna let you continue. But to ask you the question, and also this goes for Lino as well. I actually had a change of heart a couple of days ago when I was thinking about the end game in Lost Ark. That for me, as a player who has been here and played for Acrasium, for 3 years, right? Every day was, where can I get that one acrasium? I got 5 today. I need 2 more for Mari's secret shop. I need to wake up at 6 in the morning so I can catch the Korean cash shop reset. So that was the kind of the mentality, and I loved it, right?
You love that?
Yeah,
Okay.
no, I love this game even with acrasium. It's
I mean,
for
I
me,
love
it's
the
about.
Cratium, but the Mary Secret shop, having to wake up at 6 a.m. so you wouldn't have to miss the like little Cratium
Yeah,
run of the
but
shop.
but but to ask Stoops this question so he can continue finishing his thing. Um, I kind of had a change of heart in terms of what Endgame should be. What do you think if Endgame for us in the West will be much less about getting those gear enchantment materials and much more about progressing with your character, like you were saying, with the island hearts, with the skill points, with the collectibles? Do you think, and also, of course, having fun with your friends in the Abyssal dungeons, the first ones and the Rohendel ones, and Guardian raids. What is that an acceptable end game for you as a player who has played tier 3 and for new players, you think?
I think as a new player, I mean, that's what you should be doing. Going above 15 is a grief in tier 1, right? You're going to go to tier 2 and the eye level is going to jump and it just feels like irrelevant at that point. Why would you go above plus 15, right? So you're going to get to plus 15 relatively easy with the current upgrade rates. They're pretty high, right? There's like 40%, I think, or almost, or 30 or 40. It's really high.
Yeah, I think
So
40% chance of
50,
failing tops until.
yeah, to 15, right? So
Yeah.
I personally think that like, I think the way it should be played is that you get your gear quickly, you work on any of the outside stuff going on, right? Your island hearts, you need those things, those skill points. There's not much gold farm to do. I don't think we should be in tier 1 very long, and I don't think we should be in tier 2 very long. You know, I think Argos is a great first raid. It's the actual raid. We don't have Mystic anymore. I got to do Mystic, and then it went away like a week later. So I think that getting people through tier 1, tier 2, and letting them spend less time and RNG upgrading and grinding for what? Like, it's going to feel bad if you're going to be grinding up all this and then go into the next tier rather quickly, right? So make it easy. Let's get through it. Give the people the time to do the other parts of the game, the more casual things, because a lot of people are casual in MMOs, right? They don't have time like some of us do who just sit and play or whatever. People are busy, right? Let them get to tier 3 as fast as possible, but give them enough time to kind of wipe out those islands and do that collectible content that will benefit you in tier 3, right? And then that's what I think the end game should be for Lost Ark. I don't think end game should be a tier 1, tier 2. It's old content. It's great content, but it's old content.
Yeah.
And the tier 3 is when you're like, what? That's when the game popped off in Korea, right?
So yeah. Do you have like do you think, could you, let's say, imagine a timeline that maybe for you would be something that you would appreciate having tier 1 and.
Yeah, I've always said this before. It's not about what I want, because that's just selfish. Like, I'm a 1%er. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So everybody has less time, and I totally get that, and I'm okay with waiting. But I do think 2 months per tier is enough. You know what I mean? It gives you time to kind of go through it. 2 months is a good amount of time to go through level. It doesn't take that long in this game. Hit the dungeons. You could probably, people finish it in a week, even though they had the extra catch-up mats from the islands. They did it in a week. So 2 months. Let's get to the next tier, 2 months. And then hopefully by about 5 months, I personally think we could get to Argos. And I think people would really, really appreciate that. And it feel like the game is constantly being updated, right? It would feel like a lot of content for the game, because downtime is what kills MMOs. You know, that's when people decide to take a break. Fortunately, it's free to play, so you can come back, but you know.
And then once tier 3 starts with like Argos and all of the other content like the Abyssal dungeons and more Chaos dungeons and more Guardian raids, then that would be, let's say, the end game, and everything before it for 4, 5, 6 months was, you know, to get your other stuff sorted, like island hearts and achievements, map completion,
and learning impairments, destruction, getting an idea of how the game actually works. Because you threw people into Argos, they're just going to grief. And I also think Argos is a great boss, and for new players, dude, it was a hard boss. Like, still kind of is, dude. I still died of the pizza dam. I'm like, you know, trying to like, I forget, and then I roll into the wrong color, and then I'm dead, right? So that happens, and I think it's a great boss for new players. Yeah. And the raids are what make the game good. Before I pass off to Lino, I was watching Limit Max, who's another person that played WoW, and he's a big raider. He actually gave a really positive review on the game, and I know exactly what he felt. He was playing through the game, super overwhelming, tons of shit being thrown at you, the cards, the currencies, like what is all of this stuff? It's hard to understand. And then you get these engravings and you're like, all right, this game's overwhelming and a little too bloaty, right? Did his first Abyss dungeon with his friends and goes, whoa, like that's really fun. The game, when you're getting into it outside of the PvP, because it's fun out the gate and you can get into it, and I think it's great for a lot of people, getting to that point feels really weird, but then you do the first Abyss dungeon, it's so good that you're like, oh, I want to learn this game and how it works because it's so much fun. So getting people to that content is, I think, most important for Lost Ark.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's the change of heart that I was talking about also, and I actually have a video that's gonna come out tomorrow, speaking about titled this new end game that the West is getting. It's obviously new for us that have been playing it, and I explained that there, and I think it's such a lovely way of doing it, even though it feels a little bit weird for me that was just focused on enchanting your gear. Where Lost Ark to me was enchanting my gear and bits of fun because I played the classes that I love. But Lino,
Sure.
do you think that easing, that giving people basically free fast gear, because let's just say it as it is, if you're a player like you, like me, in 1 week with just one character without any bugs with islands and Mari Secret Shop, you're still gonna be, let's say, at the max. And
I
then
mean,
we start with Argos. How do we as content creators for this game explain this to new people, or will they just get it because we know stuff that they shouldn't even know?
I mean, it's weird, right? As Stoops was saying, if you're coming into the game for the first time, there's so much that you have to learn. There's so much that you're exposed to from the get-go, and I think it's nice to give people a little bit of time. The timeline of 2 months for tier 1, tier 2, and then going to 3 sounds pretty reasonable to me. If anything, I'd say probably like 6 weeks. If anything, make it a little bit faster, because
Down.
yeah, what I'm afraid of is, as you say, the downtime, right? Like the downtime is a big deal, and a lot of people, they go into the game because they want to raid, right? If you want to do islands and you like exploration and you like the quote unquote more casual bit of the game, then you should have the freedom to do that. But if you want to be able to raid as well, and that's kind of what you want to go for, and you want to get to that end game, want to do the legion raids, etc., then you should be able to do that too, right? You should be able to choose how it is that you play the game, and it's like, I guess, forcing people to do stuff because there really isn't anything else to do feels a little bit of a downer.
Yeah.
It's just hard balancing out with how fast we rush people through this tier 1 and tier 2 content, because once we're at tier 3, then anybody that's a new player that's coming into the game late, not just at release, how are they going to be going up there? How are they going to be doing the catch-up mechanics that they're going to be implementing? How is Amazon going to justify the past 6 months that they've been playing, 4 months of content being going out there, and how are people just going to be able to skip? How exactly are they going to be doing? Is that when they're going to be introducing the level and the zone boosts? So it's so difficult on evaluating how it is that they're going to be doing the progression.
Yeah, like imagine the game if it was like tier 1, you go through it, and then you go to tier 2 and you go through it, and then you go to Argos. Like if those are like, you can just do it all. Why, you know what I mean? And then you can do the side stuff on the side as well. Like that's a lot of content for a game launch. That's insane.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest problem with every MMO. Not enough content. What is there to do? And when you have all of the content already, like it's all there, it's not like they have to make it, it's there. Why not take advantage of that? Imagine a launch of a game with so much to do. You're like, wow, this is an actual complete game out the gate. And by time gating it, it's like you're taking away the strength that Lost Ark already has.
Yeah. And you know what? On top of this, another huge benefit that I found to people being able to not even know that there is a cash shop, for example, in the game, because you get so many materials from playing just one character and just running around in the world doing your daily things, is that people won't even feel that there is any form of, let's say, major pay-to-win issues in the game. Because obviously during the closed beta, what the new players haven't seen is the currency exchange, which, let's face it, the cash shop, the Mari Secret Shop, this is just, water under the bridge in terms of Lost Ark. What is really, let's say, the thing that people are going to talk about is this currency exchange, is the fact that
it's such a grief, man. The Mari Secret Shop is so annoying because I don't even use it. It's so useless. It's there to regulate the market price, right? Like it's there to give you a deal, and it's never a deal because players price it underneath Mari's shop.
That's what I'm saying. What about did you go to your housing plot to see that you can pay 2 shitty blue diamonds to finish
No one does that. Like I don't even do that. No one does that. No one
That's what
does
I'm
that,
saying.
right? Like
That's what I'm saying. And it's really weird. I actually have a video on this at the in early 2020 where I talked about why are these little things that just look bad to
in the
to
game
let's
at all,
say
yeah.
to let's say like big content creators from other games, right? Like these people that just talk about MMOs in general. They have quite a reach, quite an influence. Why are these things in game? Also, the same thing at the end of an abyssal dungeon. For us, the cost has been reduced from 80 to 50 diamonds to get an extra box. But oh my god, that's gonna be such a topic for discussion when people are gonna let's say
You know, it's
really get
not
into.
though.
But
It will be, but the reality is it's not dumb. Every time I've done a raid in any game, you have gold for consumables, right? Like you bring gold to go to a raid, right? And that's the thing in Lost Ark. You get paid out. We don't get paid out on NA, no gold from Abyss, but we get paid out in tier 3 unless they revamp that, right? But the reality is that every time you go to a raid in any game I've ever played, you always have gold for whether it be consumables. It's no different than paying the cost of doing the raid, right? And if you do get
Right.
paid out in tier 3, you're getting paid, and then you give up some of your gold to get extra loot until you don't need it anymore. And I don't take it anymore because I have the mats. But I don't think
Right.
it's what Amazon needs to do better is explain the benefit of the crystal exchange and how it works. They haven't done a good enough job doing that. And that creates so much confusion because it's not on the content creators to tell the player base. It's on them to explain the benefits of the exchange, right?
Oh
And
god,
how it
It's
actually
hard for them
works.
to do that though, because like as soon as they mention that, how do you get the crystals? Oh, somebody has sold yellow crystals, and that's already firing off. That's pay to win. Somebody had to pay
In
somebody.
a
Of
lot
course,
of games, though, right?
somebody.
Like
Yeah,
WoW
exactly.
does it. No
Yeah,
one
so many
cares.
games do it, but yeah, I think it's one of those things where it doesn't
Yeah.
matter what they say or how they say it. Somebody's gonna jump on the bandwagon and say, that's pay to win. That's ridiculous. That's horrible. They can't word it in such a way that discussion is not going to come around. It's just going to have to be you play it by ear. You go into the game, you experience it, and then you realize, wait, this actually kind of makes sense.
yes, and it's gonna.
hard
That's
to
what
do
I was saying.
otherwise.
It makes so much sense now with this revamp that a few days ago I started to really it really started to sink in. I was watching my footage from the closed beta that I recorded, and everything kind of made sense. Um, like what they're trying, and all of the pieces were puzzled together, because if you get to the same point as a whale or a wallet warrior or a guy who pays for that extra chaos dungeon loot, that wants to pay this cost per raid like Stoops, by the way, what a fantastic comparison. I never thought, because in previous games that I played, let's say there was no big cost for potions. We barely even used any, because the potions were not really a thing in my previous MMO. So I'm not, let's say, familiar with this concept. But you're right, Stoops. Like, you pay a little bit for something. This is such a great comparison with the end thing. But now people are not going to feel that, because my item level as a one character completely free-to-play player is just like, I don't know, maybe, I don't know, 60 points under yours, and if you get it in 2 weeks by spending some money, I'm gonna get it in 3 weeks by not spending any. So it's just such a short period of time. That's the difference, and it's gonna be the same in tier 1, and also mostly the same in tier 2, which I'm very excited for. The first 6 months of Lost Ark to be such a wonderful experience for everyone, that nobody should even, let's say, think about pay to win, because it's somehow there are elements of it being there as it is grammatically described, but the impact of it is almost zero, especially in tier 1, and in tier 2 it might be, I don't know, at around 10% of the pay to win impact in other MMOs. Yes,
Can I
go ahead. By the way,
respond to this?
thank you for the donation. I just wanted to say that.
Sure,
Go on,
sure.
Stoops. Go on.
No, feel free to shout those
It's
out.
done.
It's always a good
It's done.
idea.
Yeah.
But can I respond to this comment in chat? Is that okay? Because I see it. And it's a really popular point. And I saw.
Let's do it. Which one?
It was by Snare Effect. Is it Z? Who's the guy that you did the podcast? Zizaron? I can never say his name. Zizaron?
Wait.
I don't know. Zizaran?
Zizaran.
The PoE guy, right?
Yeah.
So I just wanted to make this this point, okay? Because he brought up, and he said the thing is, the cash shop would be crazy successful if all they sold was cosmetic. Like, they don't need to sell the other stuff, okay? And he brought this up as well. A big fan of cash shops only selling cosmetics, like Dota, for example. That game is infinitely more small and easier to run than an MMO, right? MMOs cost money. There's a reason why they charge you $15 a month and a box cover cost, right? If you just sold cosmetics, you would get a smaller game with fewer content release. And one of the things that they're having an issue in Korea is they're releasing too much content. Like April showed hard, it was too fast. So they even said in the director's letter, they're going to slow it down because players can't keep up. It's too much content too fast, right? So by having people that do spend money in the game, you're getting a much more complete game, a much more polished game, more content, but you're not going to be able to run a game to the scale of which Lost Ark is doing. Somebody said Guild Wars 2, they sell gold as well. But on top of that, it's much smaller of a game. The amount of content they put in Lost Ark and the amount of effort they put in the content reflects how much money they're actually making. So yes, they could just do skins, but comparing it to League of Legends, PoE, or Dota, it's a one map mode with champions. That's it. It's a much smaller game. And those games also have to be extremely successful, right? Like League came out, it was on an Adobe client. I don't know if you remember this. I played League back. It was on Adobe. The Adobe screen would pop up for League of Legends. They didn't know the game would blow up. And it's monetized well because it's blown up and people spend a lot of money in the game with just skins, but still an infinitely more small game mode than what it takes to build an MMO and run an MMO. Skins aren't going to be enough. Either a box cover cost and a sub fee, or free to play with a cash shop that will give player power because players are going to get it regardless. Like Classic WoW, people buy gold all the time off G2G. It's tabbed on their web browser. There's no way they're playing that game legit. I know that. I played it.
Exactly. And there's also another thing. This thing with the gold selling, no matter if the game has a subscription or not, this was a very nice point. It's so nice for me to have this podcast, by the way, just to talk to people who are just insanely much smarter than I am.
Oh,
so for me it's like it's so cool. It's so cool. To get so many different points of view. I don't even think about these things because I'm just like myself in my own world here. But it's always so awesome to talk. And this is nice. I really love this. And as I said, I will have a video actually tomorrow in the afternoon coming up. It's already recorded about this new type of endgame and what players could expect. This is awesome. And then just start with tier 3 when things become a little bit more let's say grindy, more time consuming, more gold is needed, more more alts are a little bit more valuable than at the beginning. And but by that time you might already be prepared for this. To remove the entire cash shop. No, I don't think so. Again, I'm a person who doesn't even open the cash shop unless there's something that I want to support the game with, which, by the way, I'm planning to do on a monthly basis. So I'm not shying away from depositing money because that's why I work. But yeah, the consumables and this and that are for other players, and it's really nice that they have this particular option for people who, I don't know. There's also arguments for this particular thing. I have too many jobs. I can only play an hour a day. I want to make up for that from this, and but
sure.
And I'm gonna add to that as well. It's like when it comes to whole pay to win discussions, like every game that you pay something for is gonna be pay to win. Even if it's a cosmetic, they're paying to win because they're looking better than me. They're winning in style, and now I'm losing, looking like a level 2. It's like that. It's always going to be some degree of pay to win. The question is how much do you as a person feel that you can put up with. Right?
If you think Lost Ark is pay to win, right, then you have to say level boosts are pay to win, right? And every game has level boosts.
Some people
because level boosts, what do? What's a level boost do? It saves you time, right? It's a time saver, right? What's the difference between buying gold and getting mats faster than you could naturally acquire? That's saving you time. You're paying for the essence of saving time. So
but
people are totally okay with level boosts.
Then there's the argument against this that why create a problem and then sell the
solution to make money.
Oh yeah, exactly. It's a business.
Make money to fund the game.
And I would answer.
Go for it. I love this topic, by the way, because it's my favorite topic. But yeah, go
is
for
it? Wow. Okay.
It is 100% because
I just talked so much about it that I'm just so bored.
I can let it go. It's fine.
No, it's cool to discuss, but I also wanted to give another answer to that question, as opposed to just to make money. That's why you sell the solution. You have leveling, the leveling up process. You have it because people want to level up normally. There's also people who enjoy this. If there wouldn't be any leveling up process and everyone would be straight to 50, then that would be you not having a problem that some people call problem. But then when you have a boost, some people call that a problem, and the solution is to buy it. So
yeah, it's like they could have done like, oh, you will pay gold for your boost instead of a real life currency, and
They do in
that would not
Korea.
be. Yeah, they actually do. They're not
They
gonna
do in
pull that
Korea. Why don't we
directly,
get that over here in NA? They do it in Korea. They don't have an RU because of bots, I think. But
Yeah,
in
they
Korea,
literally
you
said they're
can
not
pay
gonna get the
gold as
bots,
well.
Yeah,
yeah,
The thing is,
thing.
go for it.
It's also this: you pay to progress faster. If the
Yeah.
world would just be black and white, then obviously most games, quite I would say, maybe all games, would be pay to win, including Final Fantasy. I went to Final Fantasy, I played it for 15 hours, but I was boosting myself up with the level boost there, so I skipped the whole thing. I don't know. There's
Yeah.
boosts everywhere.
Yeah, it's always like a discussion, even like pay to progress faster, right? There are games also just pay to progress faster, but the difference is you're grinding it out for 8 months versus somebody that swipes, 200 and they get it in 8 days, right? So then the difference is how fast is the faster in terms of progression. And you just have to
But
play the game and have the feeling like, does this feel like it's an unfair advantage? It's an unfair speed of progression? Am I, a year behind somebody who pays? And that's not the case of Lost Ark. So to me,
true.
it wouldn't be.
But there's a reason why level boosts and things like that exist. Because the reality is, if I told my friend, hey man, I'm having a great time playing this game, but you are forever a year behind me, he's not going to play.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, you have to sacrifice something when it comes to these long-term progression games. Now you're going to have to spend a ridiculous amount of gold to catch me on my character, right? Like it's 14, I'm 1480, 21 weapon. It's going to take a long time or a lot of effort. But at least getting to 1400 or whatever should be reasonable so that you can at least see your friends. There's a reason why it exists. I know some people are like, oh, it diminishes my. You have to give up something. Otherwise, less people would play the game, right? Like we want people to play the game, right? So there has to be some type of like trade-off, which is why most games do settle on level boosts. I would rather see my friends than say, hey man, you're probably never going to see me in the game, but come play.
Yeah.
How fun is that?
Even
They
with
had
that
a big
too,
problem with friends being left behind, by the way, and this is, let's say, one of the solutions that they found. Also, they don't wanna go to tier 4 right now, and probably there's not gonna be any tier 4 in Korea. I'm speaking now until maybe next year in winter, right? Tier 4 equipment, even maybe not at all next year, to be quite frank. Obviously not confirmed, but what is confirmed is that they don't want to go to tier 4, and there's not even a single plan or discussion about tier 4 equipment. And I think this is so cool to leave people to farm all of these interesting boss fights, because they've released so many. It's like Legion Raid after Legion Raid after Bayakis after Koku after
It's so fun.
Valtan after
It's crazy,
yeah,
yeah.
So why don't you let people for at least 6 months to farm Bayakis, Baltan and Koku, and then get to later on to progress to Abershoot and then the hard
Yeah.
mode, and because it's so much new mechanics, and they're so cool, by the way, to do these raids. I haven't done some of them, but I have done the entry level ones, and it's such a unique experience to get to play this in Lost Ark and to stay there for a couple of hours as opposed to 6 minutes as you're going to be used to in tier 1 and tier 2. So that's why they don't have any plans. I'm really happy with I've been really happy since 2019, but seeing that they keep wanting to push these clean, baby-like, without any sin kinda ideas in the game. This is for me the highlight of these people as developers, that they just want to go clean, nice, polished. They want to fix now tier 3. They want to fix the bugs. They want to make people find ways of making people feel more rewarded for the tier 3 content that they do, feel less stressed learning these mechanics, give them a bigger batch of time until something else comes out. And you know what? Right now, instead of, let's say, new raid and new content, they can focus more on the last profession, on the gender unlock, to get, let's say, a bit more classes in the game, classes which will also maybe get to experience, or you want to do buy a kiss or whoever other raid on the other class that's coming out, right? Or the other class is the male versions, female versions. Awesome, really nice, very very nice. Well, we have some questions also. I do apologize, by the way, for missing most of your questions. It's
I
just
have a good one here too. I
yeah.
got a good one for us.
When we can expect the announcement on the release date, I do not know. December article, I have no idea. Do you think it's gonna be December? No, I don't think. I think it's gonna be January article. In my opinion, you go for yours, Stoops. Which one was it? Sorry, is
Asked
recent?
a couple of times. Yeah, asked a couple of times. Rock Ark said, "How do you feel about the time gates? How does it affect how often you play? Is it very limiting, or is there an infinite things to do with Path of Exile? I have 4 hours a day to fill." A lot of people bring up the time gating in Lost Ark, and you guys can go as well. Obviously, I just wanted to say that that was something that first I will say that time gating in any game, right, when it comes to doing raid progression, always exists, except Final Fantasy is a little bit different in how it works. But World of Warcraft, you've got your weekly raids that you do. You've got your mythic dungeons that you do. Now, you guys probably don't know what these terms are, but they're time-gated content, right? Now, you have Mythic Plus, which is spammable. However, what I will say is that it's really no different in Lost Ark, but a new player, when you're new to the game, Lost Ark doesn't hold your hand. Although it's linear and leveling, there is so much that you can do that just doing your Guardian raids and your Chaos dungeons and your dailies is a small fraction of what's actually in the game. Yes, you do your 2 Guardian raids for the materials and loot, but you still spam them for runes. You're still going to be spamming them to get your runes. You're still going to be going to do and working on your rep for other islands, other dailies. There's a lot. There's almost so much going on in the game sometimes that you have to just choose what you're going to do that day. So the time gating thing, I think, is an oversold thing that people bring up because they see these lockouts on Chaos Dungeons, and you can still spam them for engraving books, mats off the vendor. So there is, I would say, less time gating in Lost Ark, at least than I've played in World of Warcraft. And you can definitely play for 24 hours straight and still have stuff to do.
What about PvP in terms of this question, Lino? I know it's PvE related, but
I
for
mean,
new
that's the
players,
thing.
maybe.
To me, it's going to be very difficult to balance time in Lost Ark because, well, there is no time gate in PvP. You just queue up. The time gate is when you had enough. You're on a loss streak. You can't handle it anymore. You call it a PvE day and you stop PvPing because you can't handle the losses anymore. It's like you can just PvP for as long as you want and you can just keep going. As long as there's a queue, there's a way, right? So to me, the problem is if you like PvP, there's nothing that's stopping you. So you can just PvP, and then now the question is, okay, I got to stop this at some point, otherwise my character's going to be left in the dirt, right? I have to do my PvE dailies at some point. And then to me, that's the concern, right? There's always something to be doing. And I'm not sure how I'm going to balance my time, honestly.
Yeah, and on top of the PvP that you can queue up for, that you can also spam, at level 50, there is also, for example, guild PvP, in which gear matters. But as we talked about before, everyone's going to be on the kind of same footing there. Because having a guild in which you, because what I heard someone telling me that people were doing in Russia is that some guilds were actually recruiting whales, just so they can help them in PvP, like looking for 2 whales to join our guild, so we can get them for the PvP content and stuff. Here it's not gonna be the case for us in the West. I'm really happy, very happy. I think it's gonna be cool, but I believe that there's some videos that at least I personally have to make private, because the way everyone was talking about Lost Ark so far since the beginning, the videos that are already out there, they're a lot about efficiency. And that's fine. If that's your cup of tea, that's perfectly fine. But there are a lot about efficiency and how many alts you need for this and why is that content needed, and you should do this, and this on a daily basis, and there's a daily checklist, and there's everything gives to this overall picture of Lost Ark is that kind of a game on which you focus on gear. However, that's not the case for our Western release. This is completely different. Just because of the speed of progression, it's not about gear anymore. I'm just sad to say. Of course, you can put stuff aside, but the economy is going to reflect that with an overflow of materials and stuff on the broker. Everyone's going to be able to buy at a very cheap price and even get themselves up, even by farming their own gold in game. And now the discussions and the videos about Lost Ark, I believe, should be about fun, and
Yeah.
you know, creating a nice character for yourself, maybe playing various classes, getting your skill points, doing some island content, some island quests. Events on islands are so nice with a lot of people, right? um,
Yeah, for sure. Like to add to that as well, like if people want things to do, get back to me once you collected every single Mokoko seed. Then we can talk about something else, right? There's always so many, additional things that are not necessarily related to gearing. So if you have 4 hours and you just want to, gear and progress your character in that way, sure. But there are other ways of progressing your character too. Like have you gotten all the masterpieces? How many island hearts have you gotten? How many giants hearts? It's funny that Stoops is talking about the 20 island hearts. Meanwhile, back in the day, you had to get those 20 to just get your second awakening skill to begin with. You had to get 20 island hearts to
Oh,
buy a
that's
special
OG. I didn't know
sailor.
that.
Yeah, you had to get a sailor to get to like a dead island, and that's the only way you could progress in the quest to get your second awakening skill. So I was actually had to balance my time back then. I was like, oh my god, I have to do these islands, I have to do this, I have to get these hearts, yeah, just so that
Well,
I can get my second awakening skill.
people have this huge misconception that it is about gear, but gear is a fraction of your power as well.
Yeah.
Like if you've got little time, if I was collecting my cards like regularly, it's a huge power increase as well. You know what I mean? Like if you do want to play the game at a more casual rate, there's a lot of things that you're going to have that I won't have that will benefit you. Like a lot. People think gear is everything, but skill points are huge. They're actually huge if you do have them. Cards are massive. Runes are massive. These are things that you go out and work towards. So the
yeah.
idea that and shillings and just things like that, these are all really useful at progressing your character when you're going to need them. So the idea that it's just all about gear, it's a very small fraction of the actual game, and item level doesn't reflect everything whatsoever. People have less item level than me, but their account is more complete, right? They're doing other things that I'm not doing, and they're doing more damage than me at 40 item levels lower. So there are things that make a big difference in just how the game is played. And I actually totally love what you said, because people, although I'm a kind of somewhat min-maxy, I don't think people should have this pressure to do all of these things. You should play the game in how you want to play it. I think and there's a lot of casual content to be had.
Yeah, and that's why they changed it with season 2, because of the homework that Koreans felt they had on a daily basis, um, to get these pieces to enchant their gear. And it was all about basically enchanting your gear. Why do you do sea and water content? To make gold to enchant your gear. Why do you do content that you queue up for? Obviously to get things to enchant your gear. Why did you there was at one point there was like such a large spreadsheet of everything that you should be doing on a daily basis. Like there was you need 6.5 PvP matches a day for 14 days in order to get enough tokens so that you would be ready when this piece comes out, so you can buy it from the PvP merchant. 2 pieces from there, 3 pieces from there, 2 on the water content. Like everything was like so scheduled. And it's awesome if you enjoy like checking boxes. I know I have some friends who just love to just tick boxes as being done. Chaos Gate for today done, marine event done. It's nice, it's a feeling, right? But you don't need to. For everyone else, you don't need to. For the people who want to deposit real money, you can do that, and you that's not depositing, you're just going to be right up there with them. So the prophecy is all coming true. The prophecy is actually coming true. Someone was asking also about the PvP content. How will it work? What do you gain from PvPing in those areas, like with your guild? You get the tokens, the Silmile tokens, which, by the way, just just um, just a thing that I was thinking about recently is that with such an infusion, generally you use the guild tokens, these Silmile tokens that you get from various activities, not just PvP with your guild, but PvE also, or just contributing to your guild. You get these tokens that people like to spend on gear enchantment materials, because that's the mentality. You need to do guild tokens so you can get this, so you can enchant your gear. But here in the West, you don't need to enchant your gear with those also, because you have so many, an overflow of them from a lot of other places. So these now can be kept for the future, for tier 3, when it's actually going to be items that you can buy with these tokens that increase the success rate of enchanting that gear when you can actually fail and has a pretty low probability of success. So many things are going to change. I also wanted to ask you guys, by the way, speaking about PvP, both of you enjoy PvP. or at least one of you. The other one.
I
used to.
enjoy it. You're just throwing me under the bus on this one. I don't get it, man. I do like it. It's good. It's good. I
Right, you
enjoy
know
it.
what? Cause like I really want to see. I sometimes drop by your stream, and I really want to see you like PvPing. I really want to see like how you move your character. For me, I don't watch like for entertainment. For me, I watch to see, does he move left when this is happening, or does he move right? This is for me interesting. So I really wanted to see like a hardcore PvPer from WoW. You know, me, I never played WoW, so I see these players. You know, I really respect the game, what it has done, and also the players that have been there for 15 years. You know, tip of the hat to you guys. But you know, to me, like these fucking WoW players, you know, these are ruining everything, and you know, they go here and they complain about open world PvP, and they can, you know. So I want to see how you play. It was interesting for me. So maybe one stream I will catch you PvPing.
You will on NA for sure. You will on NA
Awesome.
for sure.
That's nice. I would like to see that. I wanted to ask you guys, by the way, speaking about PvP also, I wanted to ask you about the open world PvP that is announced to come, but we don't know any details about it. Now, I'm not going to ask you if you know any details, because obviously you don't, but how would you see open world PvP in Lost Ark? And very important, when would you see it? Would you see it, if it would be ready, would you see it from day one? Or would you see it as something that's endgame content? And how would it work for you? Open world PvP in Lost Ark with a Lost Ark twist to it.
They kind of already said how they're going to do it in a way, right? They're going to have this new continent, which is probably going to be the next path of progression, right? So that's going to be most likely the next end game location that people are going to go to. And as you progress through that location, there will be some open world PvP. I'm not sure, you know, they've teased us for a while now. I think we've known that they're going to be doing something like this for over a year now, but they've never actually went in and done it. And part of me thinks it's because they don't really know how to do it. It's, you don't really want to force PvP on people that don't want to.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you know, it's an interesting mechanic, and they could do a lot of things. Like they have the quote unquote PvP, right? You have the Naruni racing, or, you know, the snowball PvP stuff, which is pretty cool, and it's still optional. So I think if they're going to make a PvP island, it may be, you know, you have like a lot of safe zones, and then certain areas you can go through where you would PvP, and then maybe some different rewards or something like that. But I don't think Lost Ark is a game that very much favors open world PvP, especially with how cracked the balance would be, because then you're factoring in, you're using PvE version of skills. So the game has a PvE PvP separation when it comes to skills. Cooldowns are different. Some skills have certain resistances in PvE that they don't have in PvP.
Why would they use the PvE versions of them though?
Because that's just how it is. It's in the open world, right? It's like when you do a duel, right? If you right click somebody and you try to duel them, that's going to give you your PvE stats. That's what you have then and there.
But what if they make like a but what if they make like a South Bern kind of zone? You enter that zone, you TP there on the port, and
then it's completely instanced. But then they'd have to use Fighter's Diary, or, you know, the book, whatever it is that they call it,
the coordination.
The book of coordination. So then it will have to be those normalized, equalized stats without engravings, without any of your character progression factoring into it, so that, you know, level 26 and level 50 would be equally as strong as each other. And I think that the whole appeal of the open world PvP is, you know, you have your own unique build and you go and gank somebody. So I think they're going to try. I'm not sure how they're going to do it. I think it's going to be a PvP continent, and I think they might do some, you know, fun ganking, or, you know, you have to get a specific merchant and you have to fight over a point. I don't know. They might do something like that. Because at the same time, like, if you can just party up in the overworld and then just PvP everybody else, and, you know, get a stacked party of people with high level gear, and it's not going to be too fun for the ones that just want to progress with the game. So they're going to have to have a light touch, is what I think it will be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun doing, when I was going out and doing my islands and stuff like that, because I needed these island hearts. I had a really good time just running past people and just one-shotting them. It was fun. Not the best terms of balance, though. It's not really good in terms of, you know, how it'd be there. But to be fair, man, open world PvP is literally never balanced. That's why it's open world PvP. Yeah. And that's why I've never, like, took it too competitively. I've always liked instance PvP, because it's instance. There's nothing, any, you know, external factors. And WoW there is in terms of gear, but just in general, like 50 people, they're going to roll up in their guild and things like that. But some people really do enjoy that. And For me, it's always felt like a Zug fest of just like who has more people or whatever. But I will say that I think it'd be really fun for the game, and I do enjoy those little moments where I can attack other players. It feels super refreshing. I don't think it should be forced though. I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer. I just know some people wouldn't like that. I'm okay with whatever, but I do think people would get annoyed that if they want to go do this quest, it's forced. I think there should be zones there with maybe chests and things like that that people can fight over. We used to have those in WoW, like it was a Gurubashi arena. You'd go and you'd wait. This chest would come up and everyone would fight for it. Those were really, really fun. I think Lost Ark has some of those chests anyways. I've done a few of them. But stuff like that I think would be really, really cool. It would be interesting if you came in with the Fighter's Diary. Might cause some confusion though, where people are like, oh, now my skills are all different. I've never done this before. What is this? Not sure how they would do it. And I'm sure Lino's right in that they probably don't know how they want to do it. And I'm not a game developer, so I have
Right.
no
So
idea how they should do
would
it.
you guys, for example, want would you guys want in this open world PvP zone to be like maybe something in terms of Guild Wars 2? You teleport to that zone whenever you feel you're ready for PvP. It's like a map, like Papunica, like whatever. Only it's huge, and it's not just one; it's several of them. One map is here with this kind of content. The other map is there with another kind of content. For example, castle sieges. Would you feel that this is something that Lost Ark can do? Thinking about the camera view, and how you would do castle sieges in an open world PvP, like a Zerg, like 40 versus 40. You make an alliance or a huge raid, and some of them are defending a castle, some of them are attacking. Would you see this as a possibility, or because this is a huge thing, by the way? This is not a small thing that they want to do. Hey, here's another arena mode that you can queue up from the board. No, this is going to be very hyped up and anticipated by the players when the time comes. So, like an idea of what you would like to see.
I mean, World v World, something like that would be great. I don't think they're gonna do it though. The resources they're gonna have to put into that would be insane, and it
The same as
practically
the
it's
resources for every other majestic thing that they've done in this beautiful game so far.
yeah, it'd have to be like its own separate game mode almost. I think at that
Yeah.
point you wouldn't want to make that become a continent where people continue to progress their gear with and make it that part of the core progression, but be like a separate sort of instance PvP content. So that would just kind of fall
Maybe
under
like
policy.
a vendor that you get currency while you're fighting out there, and you can get like mats and things like that, or whatever, cosmetics. I think that would be cool. I think it should be huge though, like a big, because I don't want it to be like shoved into this tiny little thing and it's just like abilities popping off and it's laggy. I think a big open space would be really, really nice. Maybe some obstacles and things like that. You can go down rocks and there's people fighting down there, and then you can climb over here and spaced out. I think it'd be really, really cool. Maybe there's like walls that they put up to like separate people from like interacting, that such as this big Zerg. I think it'd be really, really cool. I'm open for it. You know what I mean? Honestly, I think seems like I'm open for any new zone, because I think the game just looks, when you go into these new zones, they look better and better and better. So I'm excited to see how the new zones look in general, because if you look at like tier 1 zones versus the current zones, they look so much more, look better.
It is really nice.
So,
A lot of people are
Yeah.
shouting out as well, actually, like, can the game handle 200 people in one space? That
I
would
don't
be
know.
insane. I don't think
I do
it
a
would.
rift and I'm lagging, so I don't know.
Yeah, there's so many games when they try to implement these huge Zerg battles, and it's just your computer is just gonna die. Have fun putting
Melt.
everything in the lowest setting. So
I don't know. You can hide all the players or whatever.
But then what happens to the Zerg? You're gonna be playing with yourself and just a bunch of phantoms, and then you have like 20 airstrikes from blasters from off screen, and that's it. You're dead.
That would be cool though. Just imagine all the blasters lined up. That'd be actually really sick. Just shooting nukes off.
Yeah, I mean, imagine also like if it's like a 40 versus 40. Imagine like the HPs that would need to be had.
Weird. I have no idea. I
I think a lot of games what they did is they limit the AOE. So I think like in Guild Wars 3, what they did is you could only target up to 5 people with your AOE spells, and you just pick 5 targets. So an airstrike falls on you, you didn't get picked, you're lucky. But then the other 20 fall, and you don't get so lucky as well.
Maybe an engine update is necessary before
so
adding some of this stuff.
Okay, so you guys cannot think about anything, let's say, that would work in terms of something massive, because it's going to be a huge thing. It's not just going to be an arena for in like a map. It's going to be huge, and something that would work in Lost Ark. I guess it's hard to think about like on the spot.
It's
right?
hard. And I don't like castle sieges, man. I hate that stuff. I want to be honest with you, dude. It's like I always feel like it never feels good. I've never had a really fun time like doing these like things. It just feels like I'm probably not the best person to ask because I hate Zerg things, dude.
No, I
It's just like
sympathize.
yeah, it's just
Because
like it's always it never feels good. It's only fun when like you finally like win, but if you're on the losing side, you're just like miserable. World PvP is one person's having a great time and one person's not having a good time. And
Yeah,
I don't know.
finally Reaper is gonna be viable maybe or
Yeah,
something.
just chilling a bit. Yeah, let's pick
just hop
people
on
off.
LTS, man. Just hop on LTS.
Yeah.
But
Speaking of which, LTS is an amazing mode. I wish they'd push it more or they'd do something with it. I know it's not the
it's
most balanced
weird.
thing,
Yeah.
but it's the most fun thing to watch.
It is super fun, but it gets like so flowcharty. You get super
Yeah.
counter class, right? You're warlord, and then you're fighting bard, and they're running a specialty build.
Yeah,
You're just
you
gonna
just
heal.
can't do
You're just
anything.
gonna out heal you.
I've
That's
seen
it.
those games where at the end they just heal up the full and you lose.
Yeah,
But
it's like you lose at the loading screen. I'm like, bro, come on. So then it just becomes like a counter comp matchup thing, which I guess is why they push 3v3 mode. I think
I
most
do think
MMOs do that
though,
too. But
I do think for a community tournament, it's much easier to follow for a new player to watch. Everybody loves watching because when you're watching the 3v3, you do the wide screen, the black bars is hard to see. It's like the camera's moving too much. I would love to see one LTS community tournament, even though it won't be the most balanced thing. People don't care. Do people watch classic WoW dueling tournaments with like 30,000 viewers, and those things are not balanced whatsoever. You could predict what class is going to win, but maybe if you limited what classes come in, I don't know. But I think it'd be very, very fun for the newer player to watch and go, "Oh, that looks so cool,"
yeah,
you know,
that's
because you
what's
can
gonna be
see it.
happening.
Or
Yeah, so
they're doing an
that's
LTS.
yeah. So like the archives thing that's gonna be happening this January. So what the guys from the beta tournament are doing, this is actually gonna be 1v1. It's gonna be an
Oh,
LTS
let's go! I'm so
exhibition
excited
match.
for
Yeah.
that.
So the
Oh, I'm
reason
so
for that,
excited.
yeah, is exactly
All
like
right.
what you're saying. It's kind of hard to track 3v3, especially for new players that are coming in. If you've been playing the
Yeah.
game for a while, you start to figure out, okay, you start to see like the macro level of the game. But if you're like a new player, it's so much easier to follow the 1v1. So we're taking like players that we're more like experienced in the Russian region, like big names with players, and we're just kind of gonna do a first to 10 essentially. This name versus this name, and push the narrative and
Yeah.
and
What-
go with
what-
that.
what-
And have
I'm
a 1v1.
so down.
Yeah. So that's
Well,
what's gonna happen.
I'm excited. Super excited.
Yeah, by the way, for those of you who are new, this 1v1 PvP tournament in Lost Ark is actually coming in January, right? This is going to be on the Russian server.
That's right. So it'll probably be on the Russian server. It's gonna be happening in January, and it will just be a few teams of it's an exhibition, so it's not really a tournament that people sign up for. It's just gonna be like a showcase of inviting players, like an invitational of players
Let's do it.
Or,
That sounds
and
sick.
just to showcase what the classes do and how they play, and that kind of 1v1 environment where it's much easier to follow.
A question for Stoops. His thoughts on a WoW-like battlegrounds in Lost Ark, CTF, control areas, etc.
I think it'd be great. Absolutely great. I think some of them would be really, really fun. I think Battlegrounds would be really cool because you get more people in. I think people do like, I mean, a lot of people would like some more maybe pre-made-ish content would be nice in the game. I think it'd be fun. I do think, however, it's a shame that they have 2 arenas. Like, can we get more arena maps? Like, that would be fantastic. It's not that they're just circles. Like, I think that out of anything is just, before we add in new modes, give some new arena maps, man. Let me be at the beach. Let me duke it out like, Dead or Alive or whatever. Like, I want to do some beach maps or some other things visually that look more stimulating, because getting the same map over and over and over again.
Yeah, I mean, it's because they do have certain modes of PvP, like they have command where it's 6v6 and it's like the laning game mode where you have to
I haven't done that
points
one
and
yet,
stuff.
actually.
And you even have League/Dota style tall grass, so you hide in and you're invisible to opponents and stuff.
Yeah, new maps would be fantastic.
Yeah, so
for
they
4
actually
BGs.
That would be.
Yeah,
it'd be good if they
actually,
did that
this is
for
a
PvP.
good point. Why do we have the same 1v1 arena map since 2018? And this is something that I want to ask. Of course, now there's 2, I believe, but regardless,
It's a circle.
Yeah,
Just
it's
put
a circle.
another one in.
I mean, they have the chicken map if you like that one with the central objective, which they took out of rank for good reason.
Yeah.
But I guess it'd be cool if they added, obstacles or some little other interactive things, just not a chicken that sometimes bugs out and heals you for 100% of your HP.
Yeah,
that's not so good.
Many interesting ideas in the chat about the world versus world PvP. I appreciate you guys. Something like a combination between Guild Wars 2 and Elder Scrolls Online, something a bit like BDO has. Every game has their own, and it will be very nice. I'm very excited because I know for sure, one thing I know for sure that nobody ever said, including the game director, is that it's going to be epic, right? Lost Ark doesn't do anything just like this. Hey, here's a thing, except the dying system. Okay, this was their one thing that someone just did it on a weekend.
You don't think it's good?
No, I think it's disgusting.
You don't like the dying system?
Oh, stop it.
What?
It's better than
great.
most games, man. I'm telling you, you can't even die armor. I thought it
What
was sick.
games
You had
have you
patterns.
played?
I mean, I just played WoW, man.
Whoa,
I mean, I
exactly.
played Guild Wars 2. I played a little bit Aeon, but I didn't go too far into some of these games because I got bored.
But
I would say that it's not bad. What I will say though, I would love a transmog window would be better, more than a dying system where I can actually see all of my collections and like I can try it all on like right there. A bit cleaner. And then the character menu. I think that thing someone did in a weekend. The fact that I can't turn my character and it looks so pixelated versus the cash shop where you can turn it and it looks all HD. That thing looks like somebody did it in a weekend, and that should get a revamp. I feel like more than the dying system. But
yeah,
well,
yeah. I guess difference of opinions. For
yeah,
me,
sure.
everything in Lost Ark is so amazing. Like everything, like starting from the leveling up dungeons to the classes to the skills to whatever the raids and the sea and water content, the way it was, not necessarily now. But then they had this dying system, which was an NPC that you could talk to, and you could spend some blue gems for some dyes, and then some polish, and then some other mat that you could combine and add some pattern to your cash shop skins. It felt to me like it was just done in a weekend. Personally, it's not complete. It's definitely far from finished. You still cannot take skins from like it is in WoW, I believe, where there's a transmog, like you said, a transmog window. I want this skin to put it on that item, right? And then
they kind of have a transmog system where they let you create some outfits from the Abyss dungeons if you've gotten the achievement to clearing it like without dying or something. But they don't have it for every outfit, right? It's a craftable outfit that you do after you complete certain dungeons. It really should be, take any outfit and just let you transmog that. That's what I think they should do. But it's hard to do dyes because you have to outline which areas of the outfit would be dyeable, and I guess when you're modeling, you'd have to create these objects separately. That's why you have all the new outfits have dyes, but all the old outfits don't, which is a little bit frustrating. But it's good that they're at least giving you more options rather than taking them away. So
well, sure. I mean, but like you said, first of all, there's too few things that you can dye. Second of all, there's too few channels that you can dye on. And again, I'm not an expert in like skins. I enjoy something beautiful, whether it's a raid boss or a skin, it doesn't matter. But even for me, for example, I believe that in Guild Wars 2, that dying system there and the transmog kind of idea in Guild Wars 2, that's like top tier in my opinion. That's like something Lost Ark should have done. That's Lost Arky for me. By the way, thank you for the donations and for the new members. I really appreciate you guys. I apologize for not calling them out. Just to I guess caught up in the conversation. Also reading your comments. Very nice comments, by the way. Question for Lino and Stoops. What do you think about obstacles in arena, like 2 pillars for line of sight?
Now these are strange. These are very strange because the game is incredibly bad when it comes to collision and when it comes to skills and walls. So, for example, you are a devil hunter, so that's like Deadeye, and you're using your sniper shot. Yeah, that goes through walls, no problem. You're a summoner and you throw, your Phoenix. There's like a little tiny wall on the way. Whoo, it just disappears. It's gone. So it'd be interesting if they have pillars, but they would have to really fix up how characters go through obstacles, right? You can't jump over things either. So say that, you have a Zerker and he tries to jump over something to get to you versus just a shoulder charge. Well, that's not going to happen. It counts as collision. It's a wall. You can't go over it no matter what it is that you're doing. There is no like jumps in the game, shall we say.
I believe that's why they're asking for. Maybe
so that's the thing. If they fix it in such a way, they actually make skills consistent. And okay, so this is a jump, or this is a ground-based skill. Skills that are ranged have properties which does not allow them to pass through obstacles. They'd have to face collision and essentially normalize that. I mean, it'd be great if we could have something like that. But are they going to put in the work to actually do all of that? I don't think they will. I think they're going to keep it simple.
I think pillars are just I don't know. Like it's not like a I think it'd be okay, but I just do think the gameplay would be really weird. Like what people are just running around in pillar like circles all day. It made sense in WoW a little bit with just like how CC worked, and then your healer would sit by the pillar to use it as line of sight. And I don't know if the game needs that. I feel like it's fun that the combat feels a little bit forced, and you kind of run people down and cut them off. And I feel like I've enjoyed that interaction just coming from a game that was really based on pillars. Like WoW Arena is like all about finding a pillar and using it so much. And I think a lot of the casual player base doesn't like that people just they call it pillar humping. And I mean, I always laughed at it because it's like that's part of the game, and that's not what I think of it as. But I don't think the game needs it too much. There was something I wanted to ask you guys so bad.
What's a
And
snailer, by the way, until you remember?
I don't want to tell this story. I don't want to tell this story, man. I'm not telling it on here, dude. It is it's just a
Okay,
meme.
because I don't know, it's just new terminology for me.
I'm not telling this story, man. Not on here, dude. It's a if it's one of those things, if you know, I guess. I'm not telling that story.
All right.
But
Do you know Lino? Maybe you want to tell the story.
No, I exercise my right to remain silent.
Wait, do you know the
so
story?
I do
Or
not
no?
know.
Okay. You don't want to know the story. Trust me. It's
all right. Okay.
there was
Okay,
something I
man.
want to ask you guys that's important while I was here. Okay,
Wha-
a little bit off topic. It's okay. I don't know if it's okay we change it from PvP, but I
Yeah,
wanted to
yeah.
hear you guys' opinion on this. Okay, so this is what it was. So you guys were saying about the release date, right? And November, you said whatever, December, January. Do you guys think? Okay? Because we have Final Fantasy coming out on December 7th. Okay, and huge, massive, right? Like it's a big game. People are really excited about it. And then the raids don't start, and there's going to be like a race too. That's a lot of publicity that's going to go into that. And at the end of the day, I don't think Twitch analytics mean everything, YouTube analytics mean everything, but content creators, I think, do push a game. Otherwise, Amazon wouldn't be paying or hiring or whatever it is, or bringing people on to promote their games, like
Yeah.
New World, for example, and I'm sure Lost Ark, right? So I am of the belief that putting it anywhere near Final Fantasy, even when the rating race thing's going to happen, which doesn't start till January, is a bad idea for Lost Ark. Not saying that I know the player base is different, but there are a lot of people that do want to play both, and new players too. Like it's not just about what the player base that's currently playing wants. I think it's about like bringing in new people. That's what we all want, right? So how do you think that Lost Ark competes with these games? Someone was saying Elden Ring. I don't know if that's really true, if it competes with Elden Ring and things like that. I think those are two separate things. But do you think it's a good idea to just hold out on the release date for the health of the game? Or do you think in the long term, it doesn't matter and they should just drop it whenever it's ready?
Yeah, that's a really difficult one. I think if we're going to be real, the optimal release date for the game would probably be around March, because then they would have the whole raid hype for Final Fantasy would kind of have expired. As most people would have seen all the different raids, etc. As you say, they don't start the raids until like a month after the actual patch hits, and then everybody's going to be trying to do their weeklies and do their progression, etc. But eventually, people are either going to clear or they're going to stagnate in their progression. They're going to be looking for something else to play. And if Lost Ark, an MMO, brand new progression, brand new game, learning things from the very beginning, and then like the fact that it's a brand new game as opposed to just an expansion or a patch to an existing game also appeals to a lot of players. So I think if they're being wise about competing MMOs, it would probably mean that the more they can detach it from Final Fantasy and maybe capitalize on people being disenchanted with the raids if they have struggle progressing or can't really find a good static, etc. And then capitalize on that. I think it'd be great. So maybe late February, early March might be the best without pushing it too late. At the same time, I'm not sure how much they pay attention to Final Fantasy as a tap target, traditional 8-man raid MMO, as opposed to people who might be interested in the more kind of live action-based, ARPG.
Yeah. So I just quickly on Lino's point with how much they pay attention to other games. I believe they don't pay any attention themselves. Like they don't really care. It's just when stuff is ready, business kind of thing. And of course, this is also good for business to pay attention. I'm sure there's someone who does. But what I do think they pay attention to, and this also connects, not necessarily the audience, that, hey, Final Fantasy is not necessarily our audience, but like content creators, which are like big ones, and not like me or whatever.
Yeah,
The
me
ones that
too.
they
Don't feel bad.
yeah, the ones I don't know, the ones that have, I know, 15, 20, 30,000
Yeah.
viewers, they might actually be invested in Final Fantasy at that time if they hurry up. So or if they hurry up with release. So I believe that to that they do pay attention when these people are free, and it's kind of like just like a big circle. Yes, the community from Final Fantasy is not necessarily going to join Lost Ark. But the content creators, that, when are the raids in Final Fantasy? Like literally
Start
1st of
in
January?
January. They're delayed, you know what I mean? So they don't come out at the gate. So January is when they come out. Yeah, the start of January is when they start.
Yeah, to give
It
people
might
like a
last
month.
2-3 weeks.
No?
It might
Well,
last
look,
2-3 weeks, the raids, like for people the race to finish. I think 2-3 weeks would probably be what it is.
So basically all of January is going to be filled
Yeah.
with. Someone was saying actually Final Fantasy raids in January, Path of Exile New League in late January, Guild Wars 2 late February with their End of Dragons patch, 9.2 early March. This is like a World of Warcraft thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
I mean,
what's
no one
coming?
cares about that. I'm gonna be honest, man. I'm being honest with you. That's not a
Nobody cares about that because you guys are salty about the whole what they
They're
did to the
so
game.
salty. Everyone's so. I mean, the whole thing, man. It's like we're waiting for
Oh.
10.0 if you're a WoW fan. No one cares about 9.2.
Right. Okay. So I thought you're just not caring because you're salty, but yeah,
No, I mean,
there's-
I would tell you. I could tell by my just analytics in general. I don't think people are
Mhm.
very happy about 9.2.
Right. So I guess judging by that, no, I do believe that they also pay attention to the things I said. Again, the speculation is that it's going to be somewhere in the middle of February, maybe 11th. Maybe that's going to be actually a good time to release 3 days of. Wait, are they going to do 3 days of head start? Like the first weekend, all of it is going to be 3 days of head start. Man, that's going to get so much shit.
I don't
Like,
think
really.
they do it on the weekend. I don't know. I think it'd probably be like.
Okay, so all of a sudden it doesn't make any sense anymore because I don't
But
think they're.
but they still have work to do too. Like my beta experience, it wasn't fantastic. There was not a lot of translation done. I was so shocked that nobody complained about the text. I thought it made the game look so much uglier than it normally looks. That's my opinion of it. It really did. If you compare all the text from every region, looked unclear. Tooltips were not ready. They were confusing. I couldn't even read them as someone that's been playing the game. So I think if you're new to the game, oh, it looks perfect. It's polished. It runs really well. As someone that's played it for a bit now, I don't think the client was. You open the Korean, you go to the Chaos Dungeon guide, it's in Korean. You know, it wasn't like it was like ready to go out that day. It was not, you know, I felt like they didn't do that much translation and things like that.
Hey, and you know what? I'm not sure exactly why that was. Maybe we can touch upon that as well. Because now, obviously, the majority wasn't expecting anything else, like Stoops said. It was a game that was running okay, kind of high on the CPU, a little bit in Korean, all of the things that you might expect from a beta. But obviously, we all know that the game has been out for 3 years. This particular patch is a copy paste and a lot of work translating, of course, and voiceovers. I completely understand that. But why was it not? Why was the translation not finished? We're in November. The original release date was supposed to be 22nd, 23rd of October. And it was in November, and quite some of it was just not translated. This to me is a little bit baffling because, you know, back then I thought it's about New World, that they had some problems with that. They delayed it. So obviously they're going to delay Lost Ark also by a month or two. But now I actually get to understand that it's just like really tooltips, and the translation, which are two completely basic things of when you get the game over to the West. And they kind of had a year for it, right? Because they published in 2020, August, 20th of August. It was an article that we're starting a partnership agreement with Smilegate. Of course, there's a lot of legal things that, you know, need to be done. But of course, there's many teams working in Lost Ark. The legal team that does legal stuff doesn't work on translations. So they're not holding anything back. So it's just like a full year in order to get this particular closed beta, and yeah, just baffled a little bit how
Yeah,
come.
I think we had a bit of a Frankensteinian client because it was quite different from the alpha. If I'm going to be honest, it was
Oh, was it?
well, of course,
Yeah, yeah,
NDA,
yeah,
so
yeah.
technically we can't talk much about the
Sure,
alpha,
sure, sure, sure,
but
sure,
it is the
sure.
whole thing where it almost felt like they took one step forward, two steps backwards in some regards, right? So we'll see, especially things like the PvP patch, for example, right? PvP was scuffed at the beginning. They had to come in with an emergency hotfix patch, and this bug was something that never existed in any other region, which is quite weird. And no texting as well, which is being a little bit strange. I think if you play JP, it's quite similar to the text in JP, the JP client. So I think they're trying to push that for the new regions like they did for JP. It's a little bit weird, but again, there's so many, I guess, inconsistencies between the different versions of the game that they have presented to us. It's I don't know. I feel like they wanted the beta to be a kind of marketable beta, but with the issues that came up, it really did end up being an actual beta. And
Yeah,
I
it
am
was
afraid that they don't have more. But yeah.
it was upsetting because it's like the whole thing about Lost Ark is it's a finished game. It's a finished game. That's the whole push from a lot of people, right? Is that it's a complete game. It's done. We don't have to deal with all this stuff. And then I was a little upset by translations not being done and all these things not being. It's like, well, dude, like, I guess there's a lot more work that goes into it that I just don't understand, and that's maybe on my side, and that's fine. But I was upset, like, some of this stuff I feel like should have been done. You know what I mean? It just felt a little like bringing people in to see that on the one beta that we do get, when everyone's saying it's a complete game and it's all of these things that weren't like perfect. Now, granted, you could release the game, don't have any Korean guide videos in the actual thing. That can't happen. But like, you could release the game as is and it would be fine. But it's just like, it's upsetting that I think I wanted people to see a better version of the game on the beta, but that's just me. I'm a little bit a perfectionist, I guess. So
Yeah, no,
No, you're right.
that's a fair point. That's a fair point. To me, I found it as like having played all of the other releases, not necessarily in terms of the text font or the fact that some translations were missing, and that's obviously quite sad and baffling. But personally, I found like the overall release to be a very lovely release in terms of the content that we're getting and the way it's structured, and just the classes that we have. Also, it was, for me, it was a beautiful sight to see. But obviously there are these problems which just raise some question marks. I mean, it's so late, basically. And by the way, as I understood, as both of you know, the people from Amazon, they're at the end of the day also working for a company, right? And they're also kind of new to Lost Ark. They haven't played it for 3 years like we have, or a little bit fewer. So for them, stuff is also being learned. But they're counting things in terms of work weeks, which is another thing that scares me a little bit with this whatever January, February release, because right now in December there's I'm not sure, maybe
that's a
so,
good
so
point.
so everything for
Coming
them
out.
is like a work week. They don't work for, I think, 3 weeks in December. And
I'm not sure it's 3 weeks, but they have lots of periods, and people, employees, are actually going to take
November,
holidays.
December, the
Yeah,
holidays. You're right. I didn't
exactly.
think
So
about
lots of
that at
people take it
all.
off. Yeah, like in my work, I'm going to be off for like half of December. So, and
no, but this is the same kind of thing goes in the
yeah,
gaming industry as well,
which is good. I
right?
think that's good, right? If they can keep their employees working, correctly, and not
Sure.
pushing these overtime, and and weekend working, and screw your holidays. Now, the fact that they treating their employees like proper employees, it's something that I very much respect. But it is unfortunately a limitation, right? They're probably like working sprints or something, right? And, if they have X amount of sprints to get this done, and it is a working day. Things to mention in working days, right?
And also, by the way, to think about the fact that very many of these things for the Western client are being done by Smilegate also, right? So they have a very big hand in how the game is being shaped for the Western release. Not everything is on Amazon. I'm not gonna start talking about what is and what isn't, but some of the people's concerns are actually things that maybe Smilegate has pushed upon the Western release. And also they are the same people that work for a company that also have vacations. These devs or the people who do translations, they're not going to come on Christmas Eve to finish our translation because, it's not ready. So that's why for me it's a little bit concerning, because according to, let's say, everyone at Amazon, release is really soon.
It is, yeah.
But really soon is like a matter of what, 2 more weeks in November, 2 more weeks in December, and then January also, I believe, has 1 free week for some reason. I'm not sure why. Maybe the 1st to the 7th. It's the gaming industry. I don't know how they work, because every industry has their own time schedules. Like the teachers, they have more free time here and less free time there. So yeah, for them, they see it as business hours. And I really hope that there's going to be enough business hours to make up for the missing things. I don't think that there's a lot to, let's say, that there's a lot of different topics that they need to address. The translation being one, which includes the tooltips, maybe the CPU consumptions, if that was not intended, but I guess they can even skip that and people would be a bit upset, but not very. And what other things besides translation, tooltips?
I mean, just normalizing the patch as well, like merging in the patch, because like summoners having the old pets, for example, rather than the new pets, bringing in new patches
That's
from
good.
Korea.
Please.
I love the old pets.
Please, no new pets, please. I beg you.
I do miss my imp and my Korogol bit.
I think the underselling of translations is important to note, though, because if the end of Rohandel had no voice acting, when you did the dungeon, it was whatever Palace of Dreams had no voice acting, right? If I'm not correct.
But that's the thing. It was in English there was no voice acting, but in some of the other European languages, I think there were. So it's really weird half state.
But it's like going into, what about, okay, well, if we're trying to get on this timeline of getting to tier 3, and what are they going to be doing? I don't want to wait in tier 1 not because the content's not ready, but because the translation isn't ready, right? That's the key thing to note here.
That's not going to happen, though. I don't think that's going to happen. Because Rock straight up, I think, on the last podcast that she literally said, like, if we have to push back the release date of the game, or we have to push back something of the game because there's something scuffed with the translations, that's not going to be what causes a delay. If there's something that's going to be a delay, it's probably going to be, clients bugged, or sorting out some business decisions or legalese or whatever it is that they're going to be doing. But at least that's something that, if I recall correctly, call me out if I'm wrong here, but that Rox mentioned in the previous podcast that's not something they're going to care about. It's disappointing not seeing these super cool dungeons and these experiences. They're not going to be as they should be, but at the very least, hopefully, that's not going to be causing any delays.
Yeah, I want to get to tier 2, tier 3, right? So I don't want to sit there and translations while we're not getting it out.
This is also, let's say, a concern, right? Because obviously, let's say, most of the game is what we're getting. Tier 2 means, sure, another zone that needs to be translated, but it's one zone. It's not 9 different zones. More dungeons that need to be translated and raids, but it's this many. It's quite as many, but it's not as many as the leveling up dungeons if you add them also, and it's not so much dialogue as it was so far with all of the NPCs. Just one zone worth of dialogue, and the endgame dungeons, which are kind of identical to tier 1 in terms of amount. So I think it won't be that hard. So I think we can still keep a time schedule, especially because they literally don't need to do anything else besides keep translating and voice acting. But who knows? Maybe this COVID also is messing up things. Someone was asking Stoops a question. Do you think the PvP in Lost Ark will attract the hardcore PvP WoW player base? Absolutely not. Look at him.
You're throwing me under the damn bus today, man. I mean, hell, I'm just look, man. You should be happy that I enjoy the PvE. You know what I mean?
I'm sorry.
You should be very happy that I'm having a good time, because that means a lot. What I will say about this, I'll speak to the PvP and then the whole thing as well. First of all, there's going to be, former is the key word here, right? Former, because there are some people that are they're so stuck to World of Warcraft in general that they will never leave, right? They're just never going to leave. It's just how it is. It's true. People never leave. They're very attached to it. Okay. But what I will say is that the people that have left, it is. I see this guy Stoops to 1400 noob. See me in the arena, brother. Okay, we'll see about that one. Okay. So what I will say though, is that in general, most people will look at Lost Ark and it's a much different game. Okay, it's a much different game in general, but I would not have it any other way. And my biggest fear is that people don't even try it. Right? It has solo queue, it's great, but I think people, because I love the fact that it's so different from World of Warcraft. It's not the same, and WoW skill does not translate to Lost Ark, man. It's a completely different game. There's nothing about it that's translatable. You know, every game it's just decision making in WoW, and it's a long term decision making. Right? I have to think about what's going to happen in the next 2 minutes, not in the next 5 seconds. Lost Ark's more about instant reaction time, right? So not much of that translate other than like locking down a support, things like that, right? But what I do think is that it's so different that it will be refreshing for a lot of new WoW players, and I hope people give it a chance. I think that's the biggest thing is that people, oh, I'm not into the isometric thing, or I don't like that there's no Holy Trinity, or I can't direct heal, or whatever it is, right? I hope people give it a chance, because I think when you give it a chance, you go, oh, like this is a really, really fun game in general for both PvE and PvP. And when it comes to PvP, I think it's just super, it's super addicting. There's a reason why I played it for a month straight off stream. It was bad for my YouTube channel, bad for my Twitch streaming because I was just playing Arena all day. So yeah, I think, but speaking of PvP, while we're on this topic, the one thing I cannot stand, and I think it looks really ugly for the game, and I know you guys know what it is.
Uh-oh.
It sucks that this is the 21x9 is absolutely hideous. And I know there's like hell, I hate it. I'll use it, no problem. I'll do whatever I have to do. I think as a viewing experience and what it does for a lot of people, it looks ugly as hell. Okay, to having the 2 black bars, it's great that they let you do it to give people the same playing field, but I feel like there's less widescreen users in general that it makes more sense to force people with a widescreen to have black bars and those that don't, because you have to do 21x9, man. You can't see half the map.
I got to diamond. I got to diamond in regular
Without
resolution in Korea.
Wow, you're insane. Maybe you should give me some lessons in PvP. But
no. It's just like, you know, I barely got to diamond, then again to bronze.
But I'm just saying, I think it is.
I peeked, I took a screenshot, and then that's it.
I think it's deterring for some people. Some people may like it. I'm okay with whatever. It's not about what I want, but I do believe for some people it'll be deterring that you have to play in 21x9.
No,
but you know, whatever. I'll use it.
It's terrible. I have an ultra wide, like I have an XA4P.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Of
brother.
Put that out. Let's go. The game looks absolutely beautiful in ultra wide. You go through, you know, the raids and the different maps, and it's an amazing game. And I love it that they have.
Do you want to throw a brand link there in the chat?
Yeah,
maybe?
exactly. So if you want to support me,
but I got one to try it out. By the way, I did.
Really?
I got one. It's everything else is so annoying. Like for me, like selfishly, not. Yeah, my friend's saying wide harder. That's what we called it. I got an insane ultra wide, and I had to rework my monitor setup. I'm in a smaller room, but OBS is so weird with ultra wide, and streaming is so weird with ultra wide that everything that I would do would be forced black bars. And
it is because most things don't support ultra wide, right? You're right in the sense that the people who actually have an ultra wide are a small subset of the population when it comes to 16x9. And it's right. I think they should just force 16x9 in PvP, and also make the camera not be.
Or zoom out.
Right?
Let us zoom out. Look, or let us choose. Let us zoom out a little bit.
Zoom out
it's weird because
really play a mobile game,
right? Yeah, because if you're gonna zoom out, you're gonna just zoom out to the whole arena, right? You have to see everything. There's so many matches what we've lost because some dude has just been hiding. Like it's the final match, you need to get one more kill, and this guy is nowhere to be found. Where's the Deadeye? He's not on our base. He's not on their base. What the hell is he? You can't find him, and kind of these surprise engages coming in from off screen, for example, like all of that has kind of formed around the meta of the game. It's just not forcing 21x9, not making the, hey, we support ultra wide monitors and that's cool, to now you're forced to use an ultra wide setting. Otherwise you're gimped, right? So I think other games do like that, other Korean MMOs, which do have vision be tied to your resolution, like DFO, for example, they force you into a smaller aspect ratio when it comes to that. So somebody's going to have black bars at some point. I'm not sure how they would even do zooming out, because it's not like League or Dota, right? You can't detach your camera from your character. It's tied to your character. Maybe they could do something like how Battlerite did it, where the camera follows your mouse as opposed to your character. But then that'd be an overhaul of how the whole system
Yeah, it's
works.
probably
That
not
might be bad.
possible. It's just
Why is this here, Lino, in the first place? Why do we have a 21:9 option?
Because they are very nice people, and they thought that we're going to support ultra wide users in our game, and they did, and they just didn't
Just
think
for
about
the
how that would...
monitors in real life, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
People who actually use
Right.
ultra wide, yeah. So people, because
they don't have the black bars.
Yeah, it's a pain
Yeah.
in the ass to run anything in games usually. And this is not becoming so much the case now. More games are having support, but half the games I play, I have to model an Unreal Engine editor just to make sure that they're actually being able to run ultra wide properly. So I think they did that to provide native ultra wide support for their game, but then they didn't realize that that actually kind of screws up a lot of things. And even on like Abrashield, you have people turn on ultra wide.
You have to sometimes, man. There's like mechanics coming down from downtown. I'm doing clown today, and if I can't see some things unless I have, it's. But you get people to get around it. It's not like impossible to play. I don't use it.
People get around it so much that even from back in the day, there was like streamers who, like on Twitch, who created their whole concept around those black bars. They had like notifications running on the bottom.
Yeah, they
black
do.
bar
Little laser beams going off the top. And,
yeah. This is like a whole like Lost Ark streaming setup, right? So someone is asking, are they gonna balance PvP? Like Striker is weak and other classes without what is SA?
Super armor.
Super armor, right? Compared to the other classes, and it's annoying to see only Blade, Summoner, and Paladin in PvP, especially in high ranks. Well, obviously this is going to change. The way I'm going to let Lin also, obviously, because he's much smarter than me here. But the way the meta is going to look in the West is going to be different than the meta that you're used from Korea. The tier lists are going to be different in the West simply because we're not getting some of the classes that are counters for others. So because of that, maybe a summoner is going to have more free time in the West as there is no destroyer. So maybe 5% more chances that a summoner would perform better in a game when there's this, and that versus them. But yeah, I don't necessarily. I mean, from my experience, I don't necessarily believe that that a summoner would be, let's say, so much better than a striker. I also think that people need to first learn some of the more complicated classes. Summoner is pretty straightforward, right? You can even be at the back, shoot out skills. Your minions do damage for you.
You land the Phoenix, it's a wrap, There's so much damage.
What do you think, Lino, about this?
I mean, Summoner's Cracked as a class is really, really strong. And Striker, unfortunately, is a class that does need a little bit of love. But there are a few things I have to shout out. The two main things is, first of all, it's comp. The game is very comp dependent, right? So you can be a Striker, and Striker, honestly, it can have a field day with Summoner. Summoner really struggles eating a Striker. The problem is when you then have a team that works around it, right? So if you have a comp that's like a Blade, Summoner, Bard, and you're fighting Battlemaster, Striker, Infighter, that's not going to go very well for the melee team, right? So it's all going to be how the comps are going to be formed. But there are like balance issues in the game, and this is something that we do have to shout out. And I guess that's why a lot of the PvPers are really excited for this tournament that's going to be happening at the end of the year in Korea, right? The Royal Roaders, because Korea has been saying, like ever since they had the LOA on, right? Their whole meeting, the Lost Ark conference where they announced all their plans for the game. And at the beginning of the year, they said, we're going to be caring about PvP way more this year. We're going to be doing like consistent balance patches, etc. And then they proceed to leave Gunslinger with like the sliding pod on her like quick step for about 8 months, which is like a godlike skill. Gunslinger was SSS tier for 8 months, literally because of that single pod that they didn't touch. So they've actually acknowledged that. And one of the latest patch notes that they put out in Korea, they said, a lot of people have been questioning us about our decision to have the tournament at the end of the year, and saying you should fix your game first before having a tournament. They literally wrote that in the patch notes. I read that,
yeah.
They wrote that in the patch notes. So they know that their game is scuffed when it comes to balance for certain class interactions, especially with solo queue being very comp dependent, right? Some comps you lose at the loading screen. And I think they are going to have this tournament, and they're going to pick up some data from this tournament, and they're going to be making balancing changes to figure out, okay, based on what we've seen, the comps we've seen in the tournament, what's performing well, we're actually going to start delivering on these balance changes that we promised we do, that we didn't because we were busy, doing the Abrashield raid and doing Sorceress and all of the different things that they promised, which are a little bit higher on the ladder because PvE naturally is a bit more important to them than PvP. But it's good that they do show that they care, and they're hopefully going to be doing something about it.
Is PvP for WoW players too easy in Lost Ark, Stoops?
Too
Not to
easy.
yeah,
What do you
not to
mean?
understand, but too simplistic, too PvP Andy. PvP I'm talking about. Sorry, not PvE. Because in WoW, you know, there's like there's also healers that maybe matter to people. Too simplistic in Lost Ark. No pillars either. No group rated queue. Some stuff is missing.
Well,
Big
I think that,
stuff.
yeah, I think number one that I want to mention a few things, just coming from WoW. Okay, so number one, let's talk about the solo queue thing. Okay, so you guys always talk about like how the game is group queue dependent, and I've been fighting for solo queue in WoW for years. Okay, like absolutely years, 5 years. I've been making videos. Like you know how you've been advocating for
Group
global
yeah.
release, Saivo. I've been just you have no idea. I've made countless videos, weeks on them to push for solo queue. The reality is that you said that you lose at the loading screen. If you have group queue, you also lose at the loading screen, right? It's RNG who you're going to fight. You fight a comp that's way better than you, you're going to lose at the loading screen.
Why is any comp way better than you if you can have a group queue?
Because some comps lose to other comps, right? It's just bad matchups. Your comp.
No, but why don't bad matchups? I thought that just some classes are too overpowered. I was about to ask you, why don't you play those classes then?
Oh, you can, right? In this game, it's even better, though. That's one thing about balancing in this game that's great. It's really easy to switch over to your class. There's not that much of an investment. So that's a fantastic thing about Lost Ark for PvP. It's just
wait, in WoW gear matters?
Oh, dude. That's why I made the pay-to-win argument. We one expansion we had where it didn't matter. It's fantastic. Then it goes back to, I've bought tons of gold on WoW because I needed to get this specific BOE, bind on equip. You could buy it off the market to get that item to have an advantage in PvP. All the time. So people that say like WoW PvP, any WoW PvPer and PvEer knows that WoW is pay to win. Off topic, but yeah, gear does matter. I always got the gear, not just with money because I was good enough to get it, right? I would be raiding. I would do whatever I could. I needed this trinket really bad because it would obliterate people, right? It was an item I would use in the arena, super strong, okay? And I would raid for 7 months to get it. Somebody could also pay some other player legally, buy gold from WoW, Blizzard, $1,000 to get this trinket, okay? So it happens all of the time. It's not like it's, so this idea.
I thought it's like fair and a gear doesn't matter because like that gear matters in Aeon also.
No, but the best players have the good gear, right? So at the top end, it's fair, right? Everyone has the good gear at the top end. But if you're a new player coming in, you're gonna get rolled because your gear is bad. So that's one thing. But yeah, so the idea that solo queue in general, though, you could lose at the loading screen. That happens all the time in group queue regardless. And you're also going to see what ends up happening in group queue is people play the comps that don't die, the most well-rounded dampener comps, we call them, that are very, very like durable. That's usually what happens just in any group queue game. Same thing with Overwatch, for example. People play goats as an example. People always play the most durable tanky comp, makes for boring gameplay. And other thing about solo queue is you can't play what you want, right? You can't be the striker and play what you want because who's going to want to play with the striker? Right? Why would I play with you? I'd rather play with these classes that are actually good. So it's restrictive gameplay as well. But that's one thing. I know you have something to say about that. I'll let you go for it in a second. The other thing that I did want to say, though, about the simplicity of the game is that yes, but there's a lot of fighting complexity to Lost Ark that you'll have to learn, right? Like stagger, the DRs, the knockups. Sometimes the target's too high in the air, your abilities don't land. You have to know the timing of certain abilities. You also have to know how all of the other abilities work in the game. Like for a long time, I was getting really pissed off at Blades because I didn't know. I don't know what the ability is, but it's the one where you step in, there's a tornado. It had level 2 super armor where you couldn't get knocked up. And I was challenging that on my Zerker at the time. And I kept trying to knock, and I'm like, dude, is it ping? Like, what am I doing wrong? So there's some complexity there in PvP as well that I think people will enjoy. I don't think you need pillars, but I do think that in some ways, WoW players like this. It's more chess, like very, very long-term planning, whereas it's more reaction-based. But I do think the reaction-based is what makes Lost Ark really addicting. It's like very fast-paced, 2 minutes, and then it's over, right? Whereas WoW, it's more like, all right, I'm chilling for another minute till I know what's going to happen. So don't think it's too simple. It's just a different type of complexity. It's not
Yeah, it's more of a mechanical complexity as opposed to stuff from outside. This I don't know, this knowledge and reaction.
Yeah.
I actually also wanted to ask you about the speed of PvP matches, because obviously in Lost Ark I tried to commentate in 2020 January the Royal Roads that happened in 2019, but it was so fast paced that if you ever wanted to keep up with a match, then you just had to call blue bard, red bard, blue lance master. There's no names. It was just all like a convoluted kind of commentary, where in other games that portray to being an esport, maybe same as Lost Ark wants to do, or at least can potentially do. I get it, there's balance issue, but there's balance issues in Dota also. It's comps, it's everything that you guys have mentioned. um but it's so fast, you cannot really, let's say, properly commentate a PvP match in Lost Ark, because it's really fast for 5 minutes. Except if a team wipes, then you have a breather, or you're just gonna be like, just on the same tone, just explaining what's happening and what cooldowns are available and why did that guy die. But that's not fun enough.
I'm writing this down. Lino, why don't you go for it? Because I know you had to say something, and I know you're probably holding it in. And then I wrote down what you wanted me to go for it, Lino. 'Cause I know you're holding it
That's
in.
I was just gonna talk about the whole group queue, and I guess it ties in a
Sure.
bit to what.
While we're here, then I'll get back to your question, Silo. Yeah.
Yeah. So the thing that Silo was essentially talking about here, which is the whole idea of the game being pretty fast paced. It's a lot harder to get, even if you take like a really tanky group, they may actually not be all that good. So I don't know, you get something like a destroyer, a warlord in a comp, right? So a very tournament competitive comp that actually we saw, for example, in the Say Story community run tournament in Russia, was like destroyer, summoner, and then warlord, and they made a team. That's really tanky, really tough. But at the same time, you have another team which would be something such as Blade, Soul Master, and Bard. And that, like, both of these comps are very competitive fighting against each other. It's difficult to have counter comps if you build your comp intelligently. I think in Lost Ark, it's more about how do you have a variety of roles in your comp, right? You have like a front line that can, take the heat and make some space, because spacing is such an important thing in Lost Ark. Having map control is probably one of the most important things that you want to control within a PvP match. You need somebody that can give you map control. You need somebody that can be a support and give you damage reduction. You need somebody that can capitalize on peel from range, right? That can counter peel. And if you can build around that, then you have a good comp. As you
Speaking
said,
about comps, Lino, may I just ask you right now, do you think that your comp for the tournament, because I saw your VODs where you guys were talking, I saw, I'm not sure if it's on your channel, but I saw your team. It was with the artillerist, with the gunslinger, I think you had, or did you?
Yeah. So it was Gunlance, so Warlord, and then Artillerist, which is Blaster, and we had Gunslinger.
That was fun.
Okay, so with this particular comp, which you said build it up intelligently, was this comp built up
it's
intelligent? Because I was looking, I was looking at your artillerist play versus other teams, and I really just didn't necessarily feel the impact of the artillerist and that.
It's the opposite way around. So we had been practicing with Shadowhunter, which is the Monarch, for a very long time, but that comp was terrible. So the problem that we have is Buden only plays Warlord. He is like Warlord Andy. That's the only thing he touches. He has never played any other class in the game. So Warlord we have to play around the Warlord, and we have to build something around the Warlord. And then my other teammate, which is Momus, we both like the same type of classes. We both always play the same classes in different games. So we're both kind of taking a ranged backline spot. So that means we don't only have a front line, right? We need the Warlord being the support and the front line. If we had ran with like a Blade, that'd be much better. These classes would not have been available in NA, but Lance Master or Destroyer would have been ideal for that kind of comp. That's what we would want to be running. So like the fact that we didn't have a Blade, for example, is something that was scuffed, right? We did some scrims against Heston Alien's team before, and against Blinks' team as well, which two of the teams that we actually fought in the tournament. And the feedback that we got was the number one thing you can do to improve is just play Blade. You need somebody in your team that has a Blade, because your comp's scuffed. And that's kind of what it is, right? So we played a bit of a weird comp. Like playing Artillerist. Artillerist is kind of dog, but then you put Artillerist with a Bard, and he becomes unstoppable, because Bard has a buff that prevents you from being hard CC'd. And Artillerist has a buff that prevents you from being knocked down. So then you just pair them both together, you're now unstoppable. You can do a 70% HP combo, and nothing anybody can do to stop you. You have damage reduction, you have hot CC immunity, and you have knockdown immunity. So the ideal comp would be something like, oh, Buden would swap to Bod, Momos would be on Blade, and I'd be on Artillerist. So then we'd have a front line, we'd have a back line, and we'd have a support. So building around comps is pretty important and something to do. But even then, right, we didn't have an optimal comp, but we still did all right. We still actually did okay in the tournament. So at the end of the day, even if comps are a big deal, so long as you have good team coordination, you can kind of play around things, it's going to work out.
I had your things here. I could just touch on them quickly. I just wanted to add this in. So you asked about esports, and I know it's on the title of this video. I really, I'm super happy that they're looking to do it, and I love community-run tournaments. But I also think that players in general have this weird, it's maybe a hot take, have a weird obsession with games trying to become esports. But most of the time, esports don't work out for a lot of games. You know what I mean? But it doesn't mean it's a fun game to play or not a popular game. I don't think Lost Ark has to be an esport for it to be successful in PvP. I don't think it means anything. I don't think everything needs to be an esport, but people want this idea that it needs to because they see it in other games. But it doesn't work in WoW either. It really doesn't work in WoW because
how is it now? I didn't know. Sorry to stop you, but I didn't know that WoW gear matters. I watched every fucking BlizzCon, and I thought, man, this is so exciting.
They have a vendor. They have a vendor that they get to pick exactly what they want, but the players don't experience that. So for them, it's equalized. For the actual person playing the game, it's not equalized.
And it's also a little bit difficult, I assume, if gear matters for, let's say, maybe new stars to rise up from the beginning, because if you play versus a player who has all the experience and also has all the gear, then it takes such a long time to practice. And I didn't know. Like, what? How is that?
Well, to your point, though, the reason why it's hard for new stars to get into the game is because there's no solo queue. There isn't a way to practice whenever you want. That's why I pushed for it. Our scene of competitive PvP is the same people because they all click together and they all play together. A new guy that wants to get in, he has to find teammates. It's like going on Tinder. You have to put this little bio about yourself. It's true. Like, I can play every night at 7 p.m. PST, and I'm a really committed person. But like, what about just playing the game to get better, right? In League, you can queue for 8 hours a day and get better. So it's the benefit of Lost Ark. I did want to say the hard to commentate thing. You asked about that's too fast. Typically, popular PvP esportish games have some type of objective, something. Whether it's like CS, for example, there's like a bomb to defuse. Team deathmatch, because it slows down the game and it allows for commentary. League of Legends, there's fights, but then there's also resource management, towers to push in. So having at least some objective in a game makes for a much better esport viewing experience because it's easier to follow. The last thing I want to say is about balance. I wish you guys wouldn't complain so much about balance because yes, classes are better than others. At least your tuning is a lot better than we get in World of Warcraft. And you're not getting one shot in arena. Like there's always going to be balance issues. There's always going to be an S tier class. There's always going to be an overperformer and an underperformer. And sometimes the underperformers get left out for a bit, but at least the tuning is significantly better than what you'd find in WoW. And I think that's the strength of Lost Ark. The strength of Lost Ark is that it has good PvP. As much as you crap on me for not doing it, it's got good PvP and it's got good PvE, right? It's got two of those. Big strength for an MMO.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like going up on the class balance, no, like it's hard because when you've been PvPing for a long time, the meta kind of grows on you and you start feeling a little bit resentful of, when are the changes going to happen? Why is this class this way or this class that way? But I'm going to be real. Out of all the other MMOs I've played, especially KMMOs, Lost Ark has some of the best balancing, like by far, by a mile. It's crazy. There's like 20 classes in Korea, and
21.
out of them,
Yeah, 21. Sorry.
Yeah, 21 classes in Korea. I guess. So there's so many classes in this game, and I would say out of these classes, in a tournament setting, only like 6 would be relatively unviable, and in a solo queue setting, I don't think any is truly unviable. Like it's so many classes of this game have potential, and because it is always about how you build your comp, like even a class is considered relatively weak, such as Striker in PvP, check it in with a Blade and a Bard, and now it can be competitive. In the Archives Arena tournament that we had in beta, one of the finalist teams, second place, had a Striker in it, right? So it can still work.
Yeah, that was so cool to see, by the way.
Yeah, so
it was so cool to see.
If you play around a team, go on.
I didn't want to it was kind of going back. I wrote it down and I wanted to get it off my chest because I was gonna hold it in. So
This thing with the objectives, this is actually quite an interesting thing. That indeed for casting, if there's no objectives to like slow down a little bit at times, and also the respawn time is quite fast, as it should be. So there's nothing wrong with Lost Ark PvP. It's just Lost Ark PvP. It's really nice and fun to do and really cool as we talked. But just from a casting point of view, if there's like no objectives or someone hitting a tower or someone just hiding behind a pillar or everyone resetting now,
Yeah, it's hard.
yeah, it's a little bit hard. Speaking about casting, by the way, I see Raiz is giving Lino a lot of compliments. I didn't even know that these two behind the scenes are I don't know what they're doing, but they seem to love each other. Especially Raiz is loving you, by the way, Lino.
His warlord was very cute in ranked the other day. His warlord and my infighter were very cute together. So
I see. Wait. So you're playing together? You know what I don't understand? I just want to say it on this podcast. I mean, I'm just gonna open up and say it. Like I'm playing with a one real life friend. Everyone else is playing with each other. I get to hear about these things like they're talking with each other. They're playing with each other. They're doing stuff together. Stoops is playing with Lofi. Stoops is playing with this. Lino is playing with Raiz.
I'm not playing with. First of all, be careful with that.
Matching lenses, bro.
That wasn't true, man. I wasn't wearing the same thing, man. I have it right here, dude. It looks similar, but it was a kangaroo. Damn it!
I'm just saying, like everyone's playing with each other. Like all of the content creators are like, hey, I'm gonna play with this guy tomorrow. We did the Abershoot together with the Saint Tone. He never invited me for anything. Like I'm also there. Just hey, Jovan. Anyway. Leaving that aside, I got that out of my chest. Like everyone's behind the scenes with someone. They have groups, by the way, in which they chat. Like, I also want to be there. I also want to see what you guys are just to be
Come
smarter.
hang out, man. Come over to RU and let's play. Come over and hang out.
Jesus
You're on
Christ.
the KR, aren't you? You're on the KR
Yeah.
stuff, man. You're like, I mean, what are you complaining about? You got all the classes. You got the new Naruni racing event. You got all the good stuff, man. I'm over here on this reject client.
Yeah, and then I have to stream, right? Show people some content because I want to stream and like talk to them. And then I'm streaming solo sorcerers in tier 1-4, and you cannot fucking finish that boss because he has a mechanic where he grabs you 3 times and he kills you. So it's like it's sad. Anyway, so speaking about commentary, by the way, one thing that I wanted to share with you guys that are watching is that I actually invited Lino to commentate together the Korean Royal Roaders, which is their esports tournament that's going to happen at the end of the year. I'm not entirely sure that everything with that plan is going to work out, right? But I actually invited him to commentate because I also get very excited for PvP. So I start, yelling and being like that kind of a person, just talking nonsense with my broken English. And he can be like the smart guy, right? That says smart things in between. Just saying for you to know, for Raiz to know, so he can watch our commentary if we're gonna have that. Cool. I guess that wasn't received as expected. Thank you so much guys,
yeah. I guess the whole topic of casting, right? It's really difficult because as Stoops was saying, right, not having objectives. And the fact it's like team deathmatch, there's always something going on because you don't die and like that's the end. So even in a game like Battle Right, which is also kind of hard to commentate, you're fighting over the orb, and then if one person dies, that's it, they're gone, right? So in Lost Ark, somebody dies, they got bursted, that's it. They respawn. Let's come on. You don't get a stop. It's like 5 minutes, 4 in Korea with the new system of like a non-stop action going on. You're not a commentator. You have to be like a rap god to be able to do play-by-play properly in this game. It's crazy.
Oh, I have practice. Video. I have practice with rapping.
I really did like your songs. Those are my favorite, actually. Those are really good. You should bring those back. I enjoyed those. Those were really
play-by-play. Let's go.
Yeah. I also have a PvP commentary video, by the way, from 2020 January. Where I commentated the grand finals, I believe.
I watched it
of the Royal Roaders. That was fun. But yeah, it was anyway in my young days. What else? Do you guys have any questions? By the way, you guys that are watching, maybe you have any questions for Stoops or for Lino?
Ask me questions, guys. Yeah, ask us questions.
because I kind of
know.
got through the things that I wanted to talk with these lovely people. We talked about, by the way, just as a quick recap, we talked about a lot of things, especially about Endgame in Lost Ark, how it fares with other games, a little bit on the release date, a little bit of the different kind of Endgame activities that the Westerners are going to be exposed to, and a bit of different kind of mentality. I actually want myself to start creating different kind of videos and different kind of, let's say, streams, in the sense in which how to explain things to people, what is there to do, what is the point of Lost Ark's Endgame, because it's important, and this is a lovely way of doing things. But yeah, there's 3 years of information out there that is about grinding hard for gear, and now it's not really like that. People in the West are not going to experience that, and I already, by the way, have people writing me emails who are actually telling me, like really smart people, like brand new, because you can feel how they talk, how they write, the terminology that they use is like from different games, and they come to Lost Ark, they've played the beta, and they're writing me emails like, Saivo, like with all due respect and stuff, I think that you can very easily make it on one character and really keep up with the gear and stuff. And they just don't understand why everything on YouTube, myself included, is talking about alts and farming and grinding and
Too
logging in. And
much.
yeah,
It's scary for a lot of people. They say 26. This 26 alt meme thing is just ridiculous. Like I play two others. I play two other characters in my main, and I'm barely min-maxing those. Like it just depends on the pace you want to go, how much you want to like know life stuff, and how many mats. Like I don't know. I feel like this 26 alt thing is just like, it's deterring for a lot of people. You need 26 alts to maintain, at a relevant rate. Or I think it's absolute nonsense. I don't think that's a realistic number for 99.9% of people.
and it's not like that. It's not like that. They're
Yeah.
not going to experience that. They're just going to need one character. Wilkie is saying that someone in this lovely podcast said that we will start with tier 2 contents in EU. I don't know who said such blasphemy. Maybe on some other podcast.
We said that we'd like to get to the
Right.
tier 3 content as fast as possible.
Yeah, but still allowing people the chance to go through the tier 1 content, put some stuff aside, maybe level 2, 3 classes, not because they have to have alts, which in tier 3 they will prove to be successful, but that's besides the points. That's 6 months into the future, maybe more. But just because they want to experience another class, they've made a mistake. We all have made mistakes in leveling up classes to 50. Shit, this is not for me. Another question, is there a place where to look at all the visuals of tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 armors of all classes, please? No. You find them scuffed all over the internet. But a full guide for every single thing or a website, I don't know. Do you guys know?
We need a WoW head for Lost Ark.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's some guys that are trying to do that. Things like like the Found Ark project, and they're trying to do something like Wowhead and trying to get some rips from the game and trying to get that on the website, but it's not up yet because it's quite difficult to get all these things.
Yeah,
I don't think.
Yeah, I can also confirm that there are people, various groups of people who are trying to do like a Wowhead kind of thing for Lost Ark. So far, they have not succeeded, like Lino said, but there are people interested in doing this. Another question that we got after I asked for questions, by the way. Sorry. What do you guys think of the West version being nerfed right off the bat? Will this impact Legion raids too much, or is it a good move for the Western audience that can actually clear them? Do you guys want to answer this? Because I also get shit for answering questions. Like, this is a podcast, by the way, everyone who watches. I like to talk. Excuse me. This is not an interview. I'm not interviewing Lino and Stoops in every Sunday. So yeah, but you guys go ahead and answer.
You want to go for it, Lino, or you want me to do it?
I mean, you go ahead, because I haven't, like I said, I've been a PvP Andy for the past, ever since season 2, right? So I can't talk too much about endgame PvE content with authority. So yeah.
I don't know about Legion raids being nerfed. There are changes that happen in KR, and then they make changes like Cuckoo Sate, and they've nerfed them a couple times and stuff like that. But those raids are really hard. And I still got wiped up by Virtus on my BM at the time going in, with just like mid eye level. I got wiped up. I don't think I think like some nerfs are okay. It just depends again at the pacing of the content. If it's going to be a long tier, then having it unnerfed is a good idea, I think. If it's going to be a shorter tier, and we're not going to keep progressing our characters over and over and over again, we're just going to try to move on. I think having it nerfed a little bit better. But ultimately, I think that the game's progression curve is really good in PvE. I think you keep going and the game gets harder and harder and harder. And when I first got into the game, I had the Makoko buff, the Makopian buff, the 20% extra damage, 40% less damage taken, and I was still dying. I was still dying on all of the content, but I think pacing and nerf bosses are fine. I just hope the pacing is. I can't stress it enough. I know we talked about it a lot, but I know how good tier 3 is, and I'm so fearful that they're gonna be like, oh, this is the dungeon, this is the end game, like these are our raids, no mystic. It's like, would love players to like. I feel like the game will start slow and build into tier 3. To be honest, that's my prediction for how the game's success will be. Is that people will come back and go, oh, this looks way different. But I think nerf content's fine.
Someone else is asking. Actually, one of the members of my channel is asking a question for Lino. Where can they find PvP builds to try in Russia?
On my mute button. That's what there was. So I'm gonna self-plug here for a bit, and if you'd like to check out some PvP builds, then you can just type ~mark and the name of the class on my Twitch channel, and you get a build.
There you go.
Really, yeah. So it's a little bit complicated. There's a website called lostark3.ru, which is where people in the Russian server usually tend to store builds, and builds there are stored with guides as well. So a lot of people upload their builds with certain guides. The thing is that a lot of the builds there can be a little bit outdated if you're just taking some of the templated builds, even the ones that are like very highly liked, they may be from all the way back in season 1. So really the best way of getting an up-to-date build for your character is either go to players of that class and just ask them for a build, or hang around on like the Lost Ark Discord or other places where you will find people that actually play the class that can give you a little bit of guidance on, what's the build that I would use for PvP, or what's the build that I would use for PvE.
Yeah, I would also like to touch upon this topic really quickly and say that unfortunately, during the last 3 years, now I know many of you are maybe newer and haven't been, like, say, looking for a build for 3 years, but it's really tough to find something that's updated. A lot has changed, first of all, in the game with classes and balance, and builds keep getting refreshed, and there's no really cool place, very user-friendly, very 2021 looking, let's say, website that could grant you something that's up to date. Actually, because of this, and because of the fact that I really care about, let's say, the community in general, I've done all sorts of stupid stuff just to maybe motivate someone else to do them, like, I don't know, PvP commentary or whatever. I'm really happy to see now that a lot of people are picking up a lot of the stuff that I either wanted to do or did. The same thing with this website. I really hope that someone is going to actually get a very cool website together. It doesn't have to be for everything, but at least for the basic things, not guides. Guides are on YouTube. I know that there are some groups of people who want to do a website for guides for bosses. You can search that on YouTube, but a build, something that's always up to date, every single balance patch or every other 2 weeks, I really encourage those of you that have maybe some website knowledge to do this. You can put ads on your website. I'm pretty sure it's going to be popular. I can promote it for you. I can talk about it on my channel if it's a good one and it looks good and it's nice what players would expect. I really hope that there's going to be such a place. In very many nice games, this is the case. Someone was asking also if we're going to have some bigger PvP modes. We actually talked about this, and that's why I'm answering this question. Not that I want to talk more about Lost Ark, which I do, by the way. We talked about this, and there's going to be open world PvP. We tried to share some of our thoughts on it, like what could be possible in Lost Ark with this camera view, with the whole, a lot of skills and a lot of FPS loss with higher man content. Yeah. There's many other questions, by the way. For example, this for no, I don't think this is for me. Do you think that the Western audience will influence the direction of the game for Korea and other servers?
I mean, KR is the beta test for NA, right? So that's what they joke about. So, I don't know how much it'll influence the model of the game. But I do hope that they're smart and they do some tailoring for the Western audience. People talk about the cash shop changing and things like that, and I hope they continue to take feedback. And Smilegate is willing to make changes. I just have so much personal belief in the game; it can do really, really well. So I hope they do tailor to the Western audience. But I don't know if we will dictate how it is played in Korea.
I mean, who knows, right? If, for example, like the feedback for the Western regions is, oh, we really would like a group ranked queue, and we see that lots of people like that, then who knows? They might even implement it there. I think things that are beneficial for both regions might it will be a mutually beneficial relationship between the two regions, I think.
I also wanted to answer this question, and I can tell you as an absolute certainty that the Korean devs, the game director, and everyone working in the social media team there in Korea is very, very interested in feedback from all of the regions, because they can and have in the past changed Lost Ark to accommodate one or another region at the request of either the publisher or the player base. However, nothing is going to be done differently for the West if you don't give them feedback, if your voice is not heard and only the voice of people who are asking for, I don't know, whatever crazy thing people are asking for is actually heard. So you need to speak up on the things that bother you or that you want to see or that you want before other things, right? This is very important. This is crucial because as a fact, I can name you right now from the top of my head, which I won't do, by the way, 20 things that they've just changed for the West, specifically fitting this Western mentality that we have here, or what other people consider that Westerners like because they're so special and sensitive, and they like this and that. That's 20 things straight off the bat. Not all of them positive, but just saying they have changed. They have changed this. Someone is asking Lino, why do you keep dodging him in 2v2s? I mean, Jesus Christ, from a Grandmaster rank, I wouldn't have expected that.
Well, this is my buddy from the tournament, right? So what tends to happen is the way that I play PvP is if we're group queuing and we're in unranked, like we're in casual, and somebody in the enemy team DCs, like you gotta be honorable, man. You gotta let the 2v2 happen. If you're not gonna just beat on somebody 3v2, this is not a game where you can like win a 2v3 like very. Not, I'm not gonna say it very easily. You can't win a 2v3. Like the players have to be really, really bad for you to be able to win it.
Do you guys actually, one of you stays AFK while when the other guy disconnects?
Yes, that's what I do. So that what he's saying here is what I do is when the third guy disconnects in the enemy team, it's got to be two of us are gonna have to fight two of them, and I just sit out. I tend to be the one that sits out and just tries to commentate what's happening. And he's just calling me out like, well, just go play, man. Go play the 2v2. We can have a cute 2v2 going on here. But
when I see someone disconnecting from the other team, that's when I go the most ham because I know that's like some easy rating. I'm just gonna camp them in the fountain, throw my phoenixes over their corpses there in the fountain.
I mean, I'm not an angel. If it's unranked, like if it's ranked, I'm gonna have to fight it out. Right? I'm not gonna lose rating over it. But if it's unranked and you're doing like you're grouping with your buddies and you're just fighting other people, come on, it's unranked. Just let them 2v2. Let them have a fighting chance. Yeah.
Saint Raiz was saying that Saint Tone is the wowhead of Lost Ark. Yeah, so like the thing with Saint Tone, by the way, God bless him. Tip of the hat to the guy is that he doesn't have any opinions. He just has facts. So if you wanna hear how something actually is, and it's not an opinion, you go and ask Saint Tone. Jesus Christ,
he's a walking encyclopedia.
That guy, though, and he has also like this document put together, like it's like a Google Docs kind of thing.
Yeah.
Jesus, I can just open his document and start reciting, put some B-roll, and that's the only guide you need for for Lost Ark in the West. Right. Someone else was asking, how do the channel system works that is in the game? You guys want to answer, or shall I? Or?
Just change channels to get better. I change channels a lot. If you're in the cities and you don't like the lag, just go to a better channel, and it definitely helps out quite a bit. So
yeah, and there's also like a specific channel where all of the cool guys and girls meet. By the way, in every city they have Discord rooms where they say everyone come on channel 15, and then there's Lino there, there's Stoops, there's Lofi, there's
Dude,
Saint Owen.
I don't play. Okay, I've talked to Lino. This is my second time ever interacting with Lino. I think I've talked to Wookie like once or twice.
Yeah, I'm joking.
Dude, everyone craps on me for being the PvE Andy, man. You guys are all PvPers now, so I need to go find some PvE friends. This is me and Sane out here in this cold Lost Ark YouTube world, I guess.
I'm joking, of course. By the way, guys.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
worth noting. Is there any chance they'll upgrade from Unreal Engine 3 to 4 or 5?
I think that's super unlikely. When they did season 2, for example, which would have been like a prime time, like you had games like Lin-o, for example, be upgrading their clients from Unreal Engine 3 to 4. That's so difficult to do. It's not an easy thing to pull, especially a game as big as Lost Ark. If they were going to do it, they'd have done it with the season 2 patch, and they didn't. So I think Unreal Engine 3 is here to stay.
They need to do DX11 though. It helped Guild Wars out a lot, I heard. I mean, this DX9 thing is nonsense. Like, let's use the downtime and let's get like some can you guys imagine Lost Ark 5 years UE3 DX9? I mean,
yeah, I mean UE3 will probably remain, but yeah, I think DirectX 11 is definitely gonna be a thing. We'll see.
What does Stoops think about encounters like Cook Satan or Cool Satan? In terms of speed, amount of mechanics, no add-ons, helping people.
I just want to say, everyone that laughs at me, I want you to go in that raid. Okay, that raid is ridiculous. Okay, that boss is designed by the guy who made it. Was like, all right, let's just throw every single thing on the screen all at once and then see how long they can live. It really is a clown show. On the add-ons thing, I think no add-ons makes the game way more fun. You know, I really genuinely believe no add-ons is what makes Lost Ark raiding extremely fun. You don't know and think you have to learn everything. I think people will really enjoy it. So I think no add-ons is fantastic. That raid is actually hell, and there's a reason why there's no hard mode of that raid. It's legitimately, what is that? I don't even know what that raid is. It's just a clown show.
That's exactly what it
yeah
is, I guess.
The music, I'm going insane. I heard it last night when I was closing my eyes.
What about to rate the UI of the game? Someone is Nobu
super chat.
Seems to be a little bit upset about the UI. It's less minimalistic than Bless Online had it, which was just black and white, or than Ilion has it. So I guess it's a step up from that. I asked also some, like for example, my wife is a designer. Yeah, she's a designer, and she was saying that these kinds of UIs are very popular these days. Not the skill UI, by the way, which is gorgeous. Let me just say that on an equal level to me compared to Guild Wars 2. I'm more into this modern stuff, not like World of Warcraft. Like the whole like bar is like, maybe black and white, maybe more of a Warcraft kind of feel. So I like it, but yeah. Saint being a wowhead, more like Wikipedia. It's not a spreadsheet, it is a Lost Ark Bible. Yeah. Cool. Well, I'm gonna let Stoops go on his stream actually, so he can have some more good news, more good dreams after the Cook Satan.
I don't want to do it, man. I don't want to go in there, dude. I really don't. Like, deep down, I secretly don't want to go in that raid.
We know
man.
you do. We know you want.
I don't. It's so horrible, man.
Why do you do it then?
Because I like the pain, it's like one of those things where like afterwards I kill them and then I'm super happy. And then I know that 99% of the people haven't done that yet. So it's new on RU. And if I can do it, it's a big accomplishment, so I want to do it. And I'm just waiting for the day that like I get to see you guys go into these raids so I can come in your chat and type KEKW. That's what I'm waiting for, so I can return some of the pain back to you guys. I can't wait for that. All of them, my viewers, chat, everybody. I cannot wait. So I want to do it and, get it done, knock it out. So we'll see.
How does the hardest content in Lost Ark compare to Final Fantasy 14? I have not played Final Fantasy 14, so I'm sorry.
I have played, Final Fantasy 14, done Savage Raids and everything. I've never like cleared Ultimate, but I've done like Endgame with relatively high, like 99 passes. In FF, I unfortunately have not actually been to the real end game of PvE in Lost Ark because I kind of stopped more or less with season 2, which is when they started bringing out the more challenging raids. Just from observation, though, going out on a limb here, so I may be talking complete bullshit. It's very similar in terms of how Savage rating works. You have lots of mechanics. You have to master the dance, but it is action based. It's a lot less about managing your global cooldowns and sitting in pretty patterns to dodge boss attacks, and more having DPS uptime is great and how you have DPS checks, but it's such a high intensity, fast-paced game that usually that level of individual performance is very big. So it's in a way it's harder because of the way that the game is done. It's easier in the other way that there are fewer, one person messes up, now you have to start the whole raid from the very beginning just because of a single mistake. There are fewer things like that. So it's not like Ultimate where one person messes up and that's it. The entire raid is gone. They had that in Aberfield, I think, which they said that they're kind of trying to not do as much of. But
they did say that. Yeah.
So I'd say it's complicated. It's not something that you can compare it's in terms of how it plays. But if you like Savage raids, if you like Ultimates and FF, I think you will like the endgame raids in Lost Ark too. It's very fast paced, very fast paced.
There you go. Question answered. As one last question, if I didn't read it. As a new player, Cypher, Wilkie, etc., you guys and your enthusiasm got me hooked. Wilkie is unfortunately not amongst us here. I can see how it's easy to mistake Wilkie with Lino. They both have... actually, I'm not going to go on with that. I'm going to dig myself into a hole. I wanted to say something about Stoops that was actually funny, but I didn't because I threw him under the bus.
No, say it. You can't do that now. I'm sitting here. I'm already here. You already I've been run over a few times. Just to send it home at this point.
I just wanted to say that it's easy to mistake Wilkie with Stoops, as they both do a lot of PvE content. But yeah, that's just past the joke point. Anyway, so thank you guys so much for watching, by the way. Thank you to Stoops and Lino for being kind enough to join me. I really wanna chat again with Lino. I'm gonna definitely get more chances, but also with Stoops I wanna chat maybe a bit closer to release. So I'm planning to have closer to release an episode where I get other content creators so we can talk to new players, maybe answer questions, maybe give them a little bit of a, like a first couple of days kind of thing, first couple of weeks. So I thank you guys, especially those of you who have been watching us. Very appreciated. You can catch Stoops, I believe, right after the stream. He's going to start his own stream and play some PvE content. I'm sorry. PvE is
listen,
really
brother.
nice.
When NA comes out, I'm gonna. You said you want people to play with. I'm inviting you to every group, my man. You're coming to every single one, brother. You're gonna be front seat. I'm gonna let you guide us through the raids.
So yeah, Lino, are you also gonna stream today or not?
Sorry. Probably gonna do a little bit of unranked PvP. Might as well. Why not?
Yeah, there you go. Unranked PvP. And also some pretty challenging endgame PvE content on Stoops' screen. Well, that's it. I thank you guys. I'm gonna press the end stream button right now. So I'm gonna see you tomorrow. I'm gonna be streaming myself as well, failing in tier 1 raids because I don't have any friends to do Cook Satan with, and that's how it is. See you guys. Bye.
Take care. Thanks a lot, Cyber.